Hello everybody, welcome to episode 18 of the World of Brickfilms podcast. I'm your host, William of AKPStudios. Joins me today is my good friend and co-host, Sean Willets of City Penta.
Hello once again.
Our special guest today is Forrest Whaley of Forrestfire101.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be here. I always love talking about brick films with people. Been like watching your guys's or listening to your guys' podcast while I work recently. And it's been really fun and informative.
I often talk about to people like, in work and stuff that usually people don't know the brick films or anything, but like I talk about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna interview this guy on a podcast and stuff. But today, the other day, I was mentioning that I was gonna interview the creator of Duck Song, and then people remembered it.
Yeah, that always turns heads for sure. Yeah, I think yeah, the Duck Song is just such a massive success. Like, pretty much everyone's seen it. Like, if I ever tell anyone, like, what I do, I just have to mention the Duck Song, and someone's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard groups of people singing it in real life. But
Yeah,
I think it's interesting,
it's funny.
though. I don't think, like, people really associate it with your name.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, like, it's, like, the video I probably put the least amount of work into, like, ever. I think I made it in, like, one day. And it was just kind of like, you know, just a fluke. Yeah, it was, but yeah, that's the thing, like, I'm most associated with. But yeah, like, I think when people go on the channel, they're like, oh, like, this isn't, like, a kid-friendly channel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only people who pay attention to the fact that it's made by, you know, Forrestfire101 channel are people who were there for Brickfilms in the first place.
Right, yeah. And, yeah, it's funny, too, because a lot of people come to the channel and they're like, wow, like, he went from, like, creating kids stuff to, like, this, like, dark humor, like, gore fest. And it's like, no, like, before the Duck Song, I was also doing, like, the Batman videos and, like, where Batman was, like, you know, like, murdering people and, you know, cursing and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of just, like, I try to make the channel something where there's a little bit for everyone. Like, I don't want it to be all one thing. So, yeah, I try to, like, make videos that are, you know, diverse.
Yeah, the Duck Song certainly seemed out of left field to me when it was new, because I was watching the earlier Batman films before that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think yeah, my cousin Anna, she showed me the song when it was just a lyric video on Brian's channel, Brian Odin, the guy who made the song, and I think it had like 3,000 views or something, and she was like, you should make this into one of your animations, because she saw that I was playing around with like paint animations and doing like pivot, like stickman videos and stuff too. And I said, yeah, like, I like the song. I thought it was like cute and like wholesome and like just like sweet, you know. And I contacted the guy, reached out to Bryant, and he was game. So yeah, we both just agreed, you know, to have it on my channel, you know, not thinking it was going to be this like big thing.
I feel like it's kind of funny that this is the first thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to mention it.
Yeah,
I've got a Duck Song tattoo, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the main reason why I kind of brought it up, was to get it out of the way, I suppose. But I think it's great that despite it being huge, you know, this massive video, it's not kind of like ruined your brickfilming career, as it were. You know, like you're still. It's not like that's your one famous thing that everybody knows and there's nothing else. You know, it's like you have managed to have a lot of success with brickfilming as well, and it's not really kind of ruined your.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
If you know what I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's really enabled my success in a lot of ways, because the money that I've earned off the Duck Song, I've put back in a big way into my productions. And so without the Duck Song, I feel like a lot of the videos, like to the scale that they're at, just wouldn't be possible.
That's actually incredible that it could be so helpful for something that you just made in one day.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, and then yeah, made like 2 more. Then I made the Honey Bear spinoff, and those 4 videos are like my most popular videos by a leap and a mile.
I suppose it kind of predicted the like rise of kids videos on YouTube. Came out long before that was really a thing.
Yeah, man, kids are crazy. They just rewatch stuff like over and over again, like insane people. Yeah, like I was over at my girlfriend's sister's house, and my girlfriend's nephew, I think he's like 4, like 3 or 4, and he was watching the 20th Century Fox logo on repeat. There's a video where it just loops the 20th Century Fox logo over and over again. You know, dun 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 dun, you know, right? And he was just on his iPad, literally watching this for like an hour straight. And then later I saw him. He was watching like the DreamWorks logo. He was just like really into like logos, and I thought that was so cool. I don't know. There's something like so like sweet about that. Like just that that they have that kind of attention for like something so simple.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. I mean, I kind of had fascination for those kind of things when I was little as well. But I mean, like there wasn't like YouTube or anything. It was just like at the start of a film, I'd just be like really, oh yeah, it's the logo, you know.
Yeah, logos are really important. Yeah, I've been wanting to do like, I don't know if you saw my most recent Batman video. It has like a new logo kind of at the end, where the forest fire F is kind of like in this like burning forest. And it's the first time I've done kind of like a visual like that to go along with the logo. And I actually added like more shots that didn't make the cut. There were like shots of like animals kind of like running away from the fire and stuff. And the one of the music producers for WWE, he like reached out to me around the same time I was making this logo, and he was like, we want to do like a theme like song for your channel, like a theme like tune, you know, like a little riff. And I was like just thinking about like reaching out to my guy Zhao, who does my music, to do that. It didn't end up making the cut for this video since like I kind of just queued it up with the song that I already had during the credits of that video. But in the future, I think I'd like to have that either at the beginning or end, just something that like kind of just says like, this is Forest Fire Films, in a musical way.
It certainly would be cool to have your own wrestling theme song.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the WWE guys though, they weren't cheap, like very expensive. But so I told them I'd wait on that a little bit, save up some money, you know, or I may just have my guy Zhao take a crack at it, because he's a lot cheaper and he's really good. But the WWE guys are like super, you know, like popular and like are super talented. So like I may just save up and pay like the high price to have that. To see what they got up their sleeve. Because, yeah, I think it's really important. And if I had it at the beginning of every video, that would be even better, I feel like, just to, like, let people know, like, what they're in for.
Yeah, and of course, if it's a super memorable logo, then they'd remember that they saw something by you before.
Yeah, I might even change up the logo, like, at the end. I think it might even be cooler to have, like, the F symbol, like, burned into a tree or something. I don't know. I'm still thinking about, like, the visuals for it, because that's important, too.
Yeah, and I like that you're keeping it classic while updating it.
Yeah, I never want to change the logo. Like, I drew the logo a long time ago, and it's stayed the same shape for, like, you know, since pretty much the inception. You know, it's gotten higher resolution, and, you know, the graphics inside the logo have changed and stuff. But yeah, keeping that logo, I think, is really important. Also keeping the username like Forrestfire101. Like a lot of people, I've seen a lot of brickfilmers change channels and change usernames, and just YouTubers in general. And I always just think it's such a bad idea because I mean, you want to keep what everyone knows you by. You want to build steam and momentum. You don't want to start from ground zero.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I've seen plenty of channels just die as soon as they change their name.
Yeah, it's just a bad idea. It seems like a good idea, but it's not.
I mean, it's kind of just like, I don't know. It's a great way of looking back at your sort of timeline and thinking, you know, about this, how far like someone has progressed, and I think it's really great to kind of hold the like early days of your kind of career, as it were, sort of like close to your heart, you know. And I think it's that's where like you wouldn't be where you are now without those days, and I think it's really good to kind of stick to like that kind of thing, you know, like. Having like the same logo, having the same like username and stuff. I think it's a really good idea, really.
Yeah, totally. I mean, unless your username's like something like really like god awful, like, you know, with a bunch of numbers or something that is like impossible to remember. But yeah, as long as it's, you know, pretty decent, yeah, I would say stick to it.
Speaking of the logo, though, I remember there was a point in time when there were loads of people on YouTube who just had like direct clones of your logo, like with the letter C or the letter S or something.
I've seen a few of those. Yeah. Yeah, they say like imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's sweet. But yeah, like obviously that's not probably going to last.
It was
eventually
pretty
they got to
amusing,
evolve and move on. Yeah, right.
But seeing as you mentioned it, you recently released the fourth part of your Batman Retires series.
Yeah, that was a long time coming. So glad to finally have it done.
Yeah, and congratulations, because it's a great film, of course.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, altogether it works really well. I was really impressed by a lot of the visuals throughout the series.
Yeah, I really wanted to push the kind of like visual style, like really far into something that's never really been seen before, at least in my videos, because like the idea of having Batman kind of like jump off of a building in the middle of Gotham and get picked up by his like Batwing and fly through the city is just like something that I could never have done really, before. So now I'm at the point in my career, in my skill set, where pretty much anything I can imagine is possible. I can do it. It's just about, putting in the time and the effort.
Yeah, the flight sequence was a massive standout for sure.
Yeah, right. A lot of visual effects work, a lot of time and effort into a relatively short sequence, but I think it makes a pretty big impact.
It does. I mean, it feels large for real. But also a lot of the other city shots and sequences, they just seemed so massive compared to what you usually see in Brickfilms. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I wanted to make Gotham seem just like, like Gotham. Like I wanted it to be big and expansive, and a lot of that was like practical buildings that were provided by my good friend Brian Hines, who he actually used to work at Legoland. He's like a master builder, and he's just really good at architecture. That's actually what he does for his day job. He designs like theaters and stuff for like Hollywood directors. He's crazy talented. But he has just like a ton of brick, like the most brick I've probably ever seen. And I know a lot of people who own Legos, and his whole house is just full of boxes and boxes of Legos. And he built these really massive buildings that he lent to me. So I was able to fill out Gotham with those, and then also a lot of the buildings were composited in CGI.
It all came together fantastically.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just got to blend it well enough to where like you can't really tell like what's real and what's composited.
Yeah, I mean, I know I certainly wasn't thinking about it when watching it. I wasn't noticing where one type ends and another begins.
Yeah, right. That's the goal, to where like it's kind of invisible, and you're just kind of like wrapped up in the story and the characters and what they're saying, because that's really the important part. But yeah, you want to get that feeling of scope.
Yeah, I think it was a massive success. And so I suppose maybe it's a bit soon to ask, but do you have any idea what the future might hold in terms of brick filming?
Yeah, definitely. I'm working on a new video right now that I just started up. It's a kind of just like a fight scene, and it's a Batman video. It doesn't really take place in my like Lego Batman comedy continuity. It's more just like a similar to Captain America Nazi Zombies, and it's probably going to be like 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes total. And I've got about 30 seconds of that shot so far. It all takes place in like one set. So it's kind of just like a fun exercise for me. Like I kind of wanted to do something that was just like all action again, and not like so much dialogue, not so much like story. Because I've really started to enjoy like animating in a way that I haven't in the past.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of just a straight up action scene, and yeah, it's not really meant to be anything more. And I'm also trying to experiment with doing it like quicker and a little bit dirtier, a little bit crappier. Because I've gotten to a point where my videos, like, I'm such an OCD, like, clean freak about everything that it's kind of exhausting. And I'm trying to test myself to see if I can kind of just throw together a video real quick, and if it's still, like, good enough to post on the channel, basically. So I'm trying to pay, like, less attention to the details and more just, like, on the feeling and just getting it done quickly. And I'm shooting it all on the webcam too. Like I'm not doing any like DSLR shots at all. So that makes it go by a lot faster as well.
interesting to sort of think of like having to, I suppose, downplay in a way, because you do something so kind of like epic and sort of just such large scale, and having to kind of like think back to sort of like simplifying it, I suppose, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like it does get like tiring to constantly have to try to top yourself, because that's kind of what I've been doing for the past few years, or maybe even my whole career, is just like every video trying to top the last video. And what I'd like is really just have more consistency with my uploads. So I'm really trying to just pump this one out as quick as possible and just have kind of like a fun video for people to watch, and not like have it be this like big epic thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's like in recent years, like your Captain America, Nazi Zombies, and then like going into the Batman Retire series, like especially I think to me like the standout parts of the series are probably the rooftop scene in, I think it's part 2, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, where Nightwing's sliding around and jumping on the rooftops and stuff.
And I think there's like in part 3, just like the precinct, and it's just such a huge set and all these people like walking around, and that was kind of that was crazy as well,
Yeah, that was another set that was like Brian Hines. Like I hired him to just build that set for me, and he did such an amazing job. It's kind of the difference between like my Lego building is just like wall, maybe a few like flourishes, but like he's so smart that he builds it in a way where it looks like an actual like place. And he's just incredible. I wish I could work with him more. Right now I'm living in Missouri, St. Louis. But yeah, when I was living in California, like we were working together a lot more because he lives there, and yeah, he's just so good. I wish I could have him build like every single one of my sets. But I think I'm getting a little bit better with the set building. But yeah, I think sets are so important, and he's just like a huge asset in that department.
When you design your sets first, do you design them with just the Lego in hand or digitally to begin with?
Yeah, I've tried to design sets digitally before, but I end up usually getting frustrated with the program. Or like, it just seems like easier just to like build it freehand. And then just order parts if I need them. But yeah, I have a lot of Lego at this point, so most sets I can build with what I have.
There is totally a learning curve with the programs, but I found that designing digitally really improved my set design.
So do you design it digitally, then like order the pieces, like print out the instructions and everything?
Well, I don't print out the instructions. I just kind of would just observe the digital model and maybe, delete rows of bricks and put them back in. But yeah, definitely order the parts, because designing digitally is very easy to just throw on loads of expensive or rare parts.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily you can generate parts lists, which helps a lot.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I might try that in the future.
But I could totally relate to what you're saying about finding the animation enjoyable now. Like when I started out, and I'm sure you were similar, like I was just treating the animation essentially as just a necessity, like a vehicle to just deliver the dialogue.
Right.
And then as I started learning about how to make it look good and what you could do with it, it actually became fun to see what you could do and if you could get it to look just right.
Yeah, I really enjoy animating like action scenes. Like animating kinetic energy is so much more fun than just animating dialogue, because like with the dialogue, like the characters always have to come to a stop at some point, and whenever characters like come to a stop and there's a hold, I get really like particular about like how smooth the stop is. And like I don't want them to just stop abruptly, and like when they start moving again, I want it to be like motivated. And also just dialogue gets so tedious because like Legos can only do so much, and it's like how many times can you like pull their hand up to make a point and then put it back down and lean them forward and
I
lean
feel
them
like
back.
Like dialogue, I think especially after you've done a lot of like very expressive like action scenes and stuff like that, it feels really kind of limiting. I think one of the things that I learned, like the more I've like honed my skills, is that more than actually writing scripts and dialogue, I actually prefer just visuals. And I think if you think more sort of visually, animation itself becomes more fun than the actual sort of like dialogue itself. I think
Right.
I think it's less about simply like telling like a story in like writing a script kind of way. It's more like, I don't know, I suppose telling a story visually, and like because I've like in the past like year or so, I've been trying more to improve my kind of like animation in terms of like action scenes and that kind of stuff. And now I just have so much more fun animating that kind of thing than I would like doing dialogue heavy scenes. And one of the things I really love to do is just like the run cycle. I really have a lot of fun animating running.
Mm-hmm.
It goes by. Yeah, for some reason, I can get more frames when I'm doing action and stuff than. Yeah, it just goes by so much quicker, and especially if the camera's moving too. Like that's another thing like I really enjoy doing is animating the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it always makes the shots look so much more cinematic.
I try, I think more and more to try and avoid what's the stereotypical brick film scene, and it's static camera, quite wide lens, and kind of like just someone walking, and camera never moves kind of thing. Whereas I really like to put it to the max of like just like loads of movements, lots of close-up shots, and lots of variety. I think it's much more fun that way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I also really like doing trailer like recreations because the shots are always like very short, and it's just like fun to put together what seems like a whole movie in Lego, but it's not. It's just the trailer, but it seems like it could be a whole movie. And like matching the shots, trying your best to match Lego and your lighting to the actual physical actors is kind of like a neat challenge.
Yeah, if you're really trying to get the way the lens looks and the way the lighting looks exact, by the time you have it set up, it's nice that you only have to do a very short shot.
Totally, yeah.
I think it's kind of like, I imagine doing a lot of trailer kind of recreations is a good practice for telling a story that is short in but telling it kind of well, because basically, I mean, a trailer, even if it's just like sort of giving you a sneak peek of what the film's like, it's a narrative in itself.
Definitely.
So I think it's quite good to kind of, I guess, use that as a practice, I suppose, to kind of tell a story visually and quite concisely.
Yeah, I think, definitely you'll learn a lot that way, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to learn it because it'll force you to think about how to achieve something that you wouldn't just come up with off the top of your head.
Lately, I've been making a few films that are set to music, and what I actually do is on the sort of the stop motion software, I actually place the audio track on there, and I just set the animation to like the beats of the music. And again, that's another way that can help you with the kind of like, I guess, pacing of a film.
Totally. What animation software are you using?
I was only very basic. It's not a very well known one. It's called ZU3D.
But it allows you to import audio and everything, gets everything you need done.
I mean, that's cool. Can pretty much edit on there. It's pretty good.
Well, if you can import audio, that's you're certainly ahead of where I was before I got Dragon Frame.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because like I think people are always asking me like what software I would recommend, and like I feel bad recommending Dragon Frame because it used to be cheaper. It's like $300 now. So like for a beginner kid, that's quite a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean for a kid it's basically a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
But at this stage, I feel like it's great for the money.
Yeah, I mean, for what I do and for professionals, it's definitely a great deal. But for like someone who's just getting their start, like I'd like to, direct them towards something a little more, realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be nice to have an option.
Yeah, I think a lot of people start off with very, very basic software, and it's like it doesn't really allow you to like import audio, and it just makes it quite difficult to animate. But there is kind of like places in between that and like Dragon Frame, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of it is just kind of, I suppose, researching, trying to find the right software for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's also another like kind of beginner question too. Is like, I know when I was a kid, I would be like, well, what software are they using? Like what camera are they using? Like what exact lens are they using? Like I thought it was kind of like this secret, to like how to get a good shot, is like, oh, they must not, I just must not have the right equipment. But it's you, like you can take something cheap and make something really incredible with it. It's just about your skill set and if you know what you're doing.
I agree with that. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I think I mean, imagination goes a long way, isn't it, as well? And just the skill of, well, just being able to be determined to kind of just hone your skills and just like animate, spend a bit more time animating a specific thing.
Yeah, a lot of people get into it, and I feel like it can be overwhelming at first, but like you just got to know that you're going to fail like a lot. Like you're not going to like be super happy with like your first brick film that you make, And, hopefully you'll continue to do it because like the next one will definitely be better than the first one, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in keeping everything like on your channel, and no matter how terrible a video might be, it's the best thing ever for like someone that's starting out to see like where you were when you started. And I think it's a shame when people feel the need to kind of delete that content, because I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. I think it's great to sort of show you started out at one point, and you can come a long way.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think that's really great. Yeah, I was watching I think it might have been like Sean Willets' podcast you did with him, but you guys like cut in a old video of mine, like a Lego Batman video, like one of the first ones, and then you cut it in and you like faded to one of the new ones, and it was kind of like shocking,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having that back catalog of old videos can be like enlightening to like people who are just getting their start.
I mean, it would be giving a false impression if the only things on your channel was the best work.
Yeah, right, totally.
I just said there's a lot of charm in. I mean, like with your videos, one of the things I really love is that like the Batman films, you've kept pretty much the Batcave. I mean, it's extended a lot, through the years, but it's like the same basic kind of like setup and that kind of thing, and it is kind of like a series where it's kind of within the same universe. I just something I really like about that. You're continuing this series and seeing it sort of like really change in quality through the years is really it's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's also just gotten to a point now to where like it can't get much better like technically. Like the newest one I did, it looks like a movie, like it doesn't really.
It does,
yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of places to go with it. I mean, like maybe I could get a little bit better at stop motion. But yeah, it's kind of like topped out a little bit. So like I'm just trying to focus more now on like kind of like story and like character, and just kind of like figuring out like what kind of stories I want to tell. I think sound has become a lot more important to me too, like getting the sound design and the music right. Because that's something I'm not as good at. So I always try to like, whenever I make a new video, I just try to focus on something I'm like bad at, or like try to improve on something, to get me to a better place.
I mean, that's a really good way of gradually kind of progressing, is if you kind of think to yourself, right, in this film I'm going to try and work specifically on this kind of thing. I know I could improve on this thing, and just sort of like focusing on that in particular. Yeah,
there's always something you can improve on. At least there should be.
But it's funny that you mentioned that you think you're not as good at sound design, because I mean it's usually like the most neglected aspect in brick films, but I would have thought of your films as having better sound design than most, especially Captain America 3 was really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely spend a lot of time on it, and like I know when it's wrong, and I know when it's like acceptable. Yeah, but in terms of like kind of just like pro stuff, I don't know if I can curse on here, but yeah, I was gonna say
it's okay.
I was gonna say shit, but like in terms of pro shit, like the people who I've met in the industry and stuff who do sound design, like they know all about like frequencies, and they know about like mixing in a professional sense, and they just know like all these terms and things that like are just so foreign to me that I'd like to get to know better, because yeah, like I think sometimes I want certain sounds to come through, and it's like frustrating because I don't know exactly how to get there, and I have to fiddle with it for a long time in order to get it to a place where it's acceptable, but you're kind of still like, yeah, it probably could be better if I was like a pro,
Mm.
But yeah, I think I'm getting somewhat better, but yeah, it's kind of like maybe I need to get a new software or something like Pro Tools or something, because I still edit all my sound in Sony Vegas.
I think it's kind of like you've got to be specifically kind of almost study that specific, that kind of sort of sound to really become sort of great at it, I think. And it's sort of like I don't know. There's a lot of like theory that goes into it, similar to music theory. Like there's there's kind of like beats and there's rhythm and like I said like I mean I know someone in university who's very sort of into sound, and she loves music. She's going on about like a certain sound being F flat, you know, and she wished it was a different key, you know.
Yeah, you should get to know her better. You should befriend her.
Yeah, I suppose it's like, I mean, just hearing you talk about sound just there, it's like you're thinking on an industry level, whereas I was just thinking on a brick film amateur level.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's like in industry, you'd have specialists just doing the sound design.
Exactly. Yeah, these people that's all they do. Yeah, it's it's pretty crazy because like I pretty much do everything in my videos generally, so it's like I try to be aware of what's going on in every department. But yeah, generally there would be a head of every single department, and they're like a pro, and they have people under them who are like their assistants, and they're also pros. So yeah, on a feature film, I mean, there's like, yeah, I mean that's eventually what I'm looking to do one day is make feature films, and I think the more familiar I can be with every step of the process, the more informed I will be when I'm talking to these people.
Yeah, if you're going into the industry, I think it's kind of good if you at least have some understanding of like how each specific thing works.
Right.
And I think that's one of the good things about, I suppose, brick filming is that you kind of have to, well, generally, I mean, unless you're working in a massive studio, you kind of have to do all of these things yourself. And I think it's a great way of, I suppose, going into the industry, knowing at least a basic idea of how each part of a film works.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it's really vital. Yeah, and you might find that maybe you don't want to be like the director. Maybe you just like doing the sound, and like you just want to be like the sound person, and that's really awesome. It's just a good way to experiment and find out like what best suits you.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think really surprised me about university was that it taught me that I don't actually want to be a director, and that's something that I never thought I'd say.
Right.
Because I actually realised that cinematography is what I love.
Totally. Yeah, I've seen a lot of brick filmers kind of like go that route. Yeah, totally.
And I think it's kind of I think most people when they say they want to go into film, they always say I want to be a director, and then they realise down the line actually they don't. That's what you say when you kind of you have a genuine sort of passion for film, but you don't know exactly which direction you're going to go. That's kind of like the thing to say. And then,
I mean, I suppose if you've been making your own films at home, or even brick films, and you're doing it as a one-man job, it's kind of like there's no other thought in your head.
Yeah.
Like, what else is there?
I mean, it is your kind of main role when you're doing your own films. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You need the experience, to figure out an area of specialty.
Yeah, I just don't want to get into any arguments with anyone, because like I always know like exactly like what I want and like how I want it done. So like I think I kind of have to be the director, because like whenever I'm on another person's project and like I have to just be like the animator, or I have to just be like something, like it's just like I'm like dying inside because I want to be like in control of everything.
Yeah, of course, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a director.
Yeah, but I was talking to my friend Thomas Hubble, Some Kid 101 back in the day.
Yeah, I recall.
He's like a professional cinematographer now. He went to school for it in New York, and he recently moved to LA, and he's been working very consistently. He's very good as a cinematographer, like DP. And he was telling me like, yeah, like I love doing the cinematography because like you don't have to like worry about like the whole picture, like you don't have to deal with like the actors or deal with anything. You just worry about the camera, and you don't have to deal with like the stress of like the rest of it. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like he said, like, you know, cinematographers get to be appreciated by like other cinematographers and stuff, but like in terms of like the scope of Hollywood, they're not like these like major celebrities like directors or actors would be, so they don't have all this like attention on them.
Yeah, I could totally see it suiting a lot of people, especially coming from brick filming.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if you get to the point where you're directing features, maybe you could hire him and have a bit of a brick filmer reunion film.
Oh man, I would be so lucky if I was able to work with him on a feature. That'd be super cool. I'd love to have him shoot. Yeah, everything I've seen him do is just really cool, and like, yeah, we're like friends and stuff. I feel like we'd get along really well.
That'd be cool if it ever did happen.
Mm-hmm. He's expensive though. Yeah, to put together a feature film is not a cheap operation.
No.
First, you gotta have a script, and then you gotta get someone to pay for everything. So that's the trick.
That would be important.
Yeah, everyone's got to be fed. There's got to be a bathroom for everyone. You know, gotta pay people.
But actually, you know, the topic of deleting old videos was mentioned, and I wanted to ask. I mean, I know that most of your films are still on your channel, and there's a lot also on the second channel in a compilation of stuff that was removed. But there's a few more that are missing.
Really?
Yeah.
Which ones?
I don't know if it was copyright that took them down, but as far as I can tell, there's a couple from about 2008 that are missing, including Lego Batman and Bane fight.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah. Man, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
So
yeah, I think that's probably long gone. I mean, it might be on some hard drive somewhere, but if I had it, I would have posted it. Yeah, it must have gotten lost or something. I don't know why I took it down. I probably just took it down because I was like, this wasn't good enough or something. Because I still had that like mentality back in the day where I was like, yeah, I'll take this down. Yeah, I haven't deleted any videos in a long time though.
It could have been copyrighted music though, because I remember, I think like it might have been the Lego Batman and Indiana Jones movie was blocked for the longest time, but then it suddenly came
thankfully
back.
It's back up now. Yeah, a few of my videos are like that. Learn my lesson, not to use any copyrighted stuff anymore. But yeah, I forgot about that Batman and Bane one. That's so funny. You remember that? Yeah, like I now thinking back to it, I remember it being pretty dope, but it probably was pretty crap. Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to see that. But yeah, I think it's lost to the ages.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you might find it on some old hard drive and get a second channel upload.
I want to do another Batman and Bane fight, like a new version. It'd be cool. I haven't had Bane in my videos in a long time, and like, oh man, he's just so ripe for parody. His voice, it's so funny. Like the Tom Hardy Bane, it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great film, and it is a great performance. But yeah, it is funny and it is ripe for parody.
Oh, it's so funny. Like the way he talks, it's just like you can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I think when my first reaction when I first saw it was that it was kind of like Magneto if if he was muffled.
Which Magneto? Like the cartoon Magneto?
No, the Magneto from the old X-Men films.
Gandalf?
Yeah. Ian McKellen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to listen. Yeah, interesting. I guess I could see that. Yeah. I think Tom Hardy said he based it on some kind of like old boxer or something. Like I was reading in an interview, he said there's like this old boxer who used to like talk like this. I mean,
there was like a running gag that like Tom Hardy in most of his films always has a mask on. Yeah,
he's quite the rascal. I really like Tom Hardy as a performer. I think he's always good, like in everything he's in. He chooses good roles.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mad Max, Fury Road.
Oh my god, yeah, that's like, yeah, talk about crazy action. Like, oh my god, like I don't think that's gonna be top for like a long time.
I mean, that kind of thing, I think, is the type of thing that I imagine you sort of feel the same. It's the kind of thing that inspires me, like, to make, like, really kind of fun, sort of, like, action sort of brick films. Seeing that kind of thing where it's, like, these massive set pieces and, you know, action sequences and stuff. And I think you kind of, when you get into that kind of mentality, that becomes much more fun than just, like, dialogue-heavy, like, you know, sort of films.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that movie's, really super inspirational. I feel like I still haven't fully processed it. I remember, like, I saw it in the theater, and I was just like, like kind of dumbfounded. I got it again on Blu-ray like when it came out, and I tried watching it on my TV, and I realized like, oh, like I can't watch this without like good speakers. So like I ordered like speakers and like waited a week until they came and set them up, like, you know, surround sound speakers, and blasted it like full volume, and that was like really the experience it deserved. But yeah, like you just want to watch it in like the biggest screen possible with like the best speakers possible, because it's just one of those movies that like it really deserves it.
Yeah, it has to be loud.
Yeah, it has to be really loud. Definitely. A lot of bass. It's awesome.
For sure.
I guess I might as well ask. It's quite late into the podcast, but you started off brick filming in, was it 2006?
2000. I started my channel in 2007.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I probably did some brick films before then, but like, yeah, probably, yeah, 2006, 2007.
And what really got you into brick filming?
What got me into brick filming? Pretty much like Robot Chicken, because I would watch like Family Guy and like Robot Chicken like religiously when I was growing up. And I just thought it was like the funniest thing ever. And I had all the DVDs like for every season that came out. As they came out, I would buy the new DVDs and I'd like watch all the behind the scenes. And Robot Chicken just seemed like so accessible. Like it was just like, oh, like these people just like made this like with stop motion, like, you know, like I'd seen Nightmare Before Christmas and everything, but that was like on a kind of like a higher production level to where like it didn't seem achievable. Whereas Robot Chicken was like, oh, like okay, like I could do this.
Yeah, I mean, there is a kind of relatability to Robot Chicken, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's like kind of like made in the garage kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Even though it's still pretty high production value, you know, but it kind of has that feel. And yeah, originally I started kind of animating just like action figures I had and stuff. Like I wasn't even like aware that other people had made like brick films. Like I wasn't even aware that there was like a whole like community online until after I started posting them. But yeah, I would use like Spider-Man action figures or like just like cheap like toys I had. But then I realized like Legos were like the easiest like like they were the most posable and they were like the most consistent, and I could build like sets with them easier. So I kind of just gravitated towards Legos since that was like, you know, the most accessible thing.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting to get that perspective, considering most of the people we talk to start brick filming based on seeing other brick films and get heavily involved in brick filming before they've really made anything.
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like I kind of thought like I invented it or something. Like when I first like started. Obviously not, but like, you know, I'd never seen anything else like a Lego brick film before, so I was just like, you know, like just so enamored that I was able to like make these like brick toys move. I remember like the first time I took a picture of a Lego, actually, it was like my Lego Robin. I got the Batcave set from my grandma, the one I still use to this day. I got it from her on Christmas, and I took a picture with my camera that I also got that same Christmas. Like my parents gave me this really crappy like DV like camera, like camcorder thing, but it was like, to me it was like incredible because I'd never owned a camera before, you know. It was a really great Christmas. But I took this picture of like my Lego Robin with it, and it was like blurry, and I was like kind of pissed off. I was like, why is it blurry, you know? Like I want it to be in focus. And I feel like that kind of started like this like snowball effect where like, all right, like, okay, how do I get it to be in focus, you know? My first few videos were actually all out of focus, and then I figured out kind of how to get it in focus, and that was kind of by keeping the camera like really far away, you know, like 'cause they could only focus like so close. And just slowly but surely I started, you know, noticing like issues, and then like kind of addressing those issues video by video. And I feel like I'm still addressing certain issues like to this day.
Well, I mean, yeah, you know, you may never stop. I like what you were saying earlier about attempting to make a film by like trying to animate it sort of down and dirty, just without paying too much attention to every single aspect that closely.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like with the amount you've learned by now, you could just, you know, do it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's still going to be pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be like total trash or anything. Yeah, it's like most of my like skill sets now, it's like pretty much muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just about kind of like letting things go a bit. Like I'm so like anal retentive with what I do. I want everything to be so perfect that it can kind of get in the way of just like having fun, So I'm trying to just have fun with this new animation. But yeah, after this animation, I definitely want to do like more like Batman comedy videos, and I'm kind of just coming up with ideas for the next script right now with like Damian Wayne, Batman's son.
Yeah, I feel like we all struggle with that, where you're flipping between two frames. It's move that a tiny bit. No, it's still not good, and try it the other way. No, and at some point you just have to let it go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's especially with the action stuff, I can just kind of tell if it's working or not. Yeah, and like I kind of just animate the action stuff like very aggressively, like, and then if the shot's not working, I'll just cut the shot and just reanimate it, or if I don't like the end of it, I'll just cut off the end and start a new shot. So I'm kind of just doing this video like I don't even know like what the end of this video is going to be. I just like started it and I'm just going to figure it out as I go. It's really impromptu.
I think one of the things I find, because I quite often will continue to animate till quite late into the night, into the early hours of the morning even. I'll be sort of focusing on this one shot, and I'm sort of like I keep going back to it and thinking, is it good or is it bad? I'm just too tired to just like work it out. And
right.
I just think, well, I need to go to sleep, obviously, and then I'll look like the next morning and think, it actually works. I think sometimes you just need time to just sort of take a break, and then you look back and you kind of realize you don't have to redo everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think taking some time away from it, especially after you've been staring at it for so long, can be super beneficial.
For sure.
Like you were saying about like not paying too much attention on every single thing. I guess something similar to that would be like I don't suppose you've taken part in anything like SAC or Brawl, have you? The contests?
No, I'd like to, but I just don't think I'd be able to make a video in that short amount of time.
Yeah, I think it's
like it would just be like literally impossible.
I think that's kind of for a lot of people. That's kind of like kind of get a similar feeling like through doing those kind of things, because you've got such a limited sort of time to do something, and you'd usually spend months on end just like working on something like this, similar length. And I think it's kind of like a good way of like sort of really sort of thinking about what are the essentials, and sometimes a slightly rough sort of shot, sometimes you just gotta like have to forget it. It's fine. It's a good way of kind of like what are the essential things, and what things do I have to sort of like not worry too much about, kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like what are the key moments that you really need to nail?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like I'd be more likely to participate in one of those if it was like a week, like at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. Then I could be like, okay, maybe I could pull something off. But yeah, 2 days is like, forget about it.
Well, there is actually a week-long contest, but it just recently ended. I mean, it occurred just like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Really? What was it called?
It's called Brawl, or Brickfilm Rapidly all week long.
That sounds cool.
It's been running now every year, well, almost every year since 2008.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, I suppose in theory it's more relaxed than THAC, but I think by sort of the end of the week, you start to kind of panic.
Oh, yeah. It still has crunch for sure. But yeah, it's since it began, it's been hosted on Bricks in Motion. And
nice.
I don't know, I kind of wanted to talk about, do you remember the reception towards you on Bricks in Motion in about 2008 or 2009?
Yeah, it was like very negative.
It certainly was, yes.
Yeah, and kind of a sense that like, back then I was like, got my feelings hurt, but now I look back on it and I'm just like, man, these people are just like really like sad and like pathetic.
I mean, I look back on it now and I'm embarrassed looking at all those old forum threads. I mean, because like I've always been a member of the Bricks in Motion community, but I wasn't. That always annoyed me when the people were like ragging on you so bad, and I just thought, oh my god, they're doing it again. Just stop this. And to look back on it now, it got so just pathetic.
Yeah, really cringy. Yeah, because it's like, this is a kid. Like this is a little, like I was like 13, 14, 15, 16, like I'm a child, like and a lot of these guys are like older too, so it's just weird, like how like angry and just like upset and just like obviously jealous they are, and it's just like, man, like you really need to just like be a lot more encouraging and not so like yeah, like obviously like my stuff was like bad, you know, but like you don't say that. You say like, oh, like he's gonna get better, like keep at it, kid, you know.
Yeah, everyone was just angry that it had so many views, but I mean, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's like, oh no, like I like Batman, I like superheroes, and I want to make videos about that, you know, like sue me.
Well, actually, there were people angry. There was a lot of like super Christian homeschoolers that were angry that you had swearing in Lego videos, and you know that kind of doesn't really come up anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people assume that because it's Lego that like, you know, it's going to adhere to like their like policy and their like standards. But the thing is like none of us like work for Lego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just a piece of plastic that we like purchase.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
like
it was just
we don't have
debate.
to do what they say. Like yeah,
A debate that
it's
raged for
silly.
years.
I mean, I think it's kind of like, really when I think about it, the late 2000s, I mean, obviously I'm looking at it sort of like from an outsider's perspective because I wasn't really around then, but like, the late 2000s for brick filming was kind of like a very sort of transitional kind of era, and I think it's when you started to see, because it, you know, before this kind of time, it was like brickfilms.com was like the main like hub for brick filming, and to suddenly see like it go sort of branch out of just brickfilms.com, it was kind of like I suppose it was almost time for almost like tension for a lot of people, and it was kind of like there's this whole side of brick filming which is not related to like forums and stuff, and it's kind of like a really interesting kind of like time where things really started to change. And I think there was a kind of, I suppose, a lot of jealousy, definitely, but also just a lot of kind of like, you know, oh, they've taken brick filming away from, you know, like from us kind of thing. And I think it was a lot of it was just over time people have kind of started to learn from it, but also kind of just like kind of accept that there is different hubs for brick filming, you know. It's and in a lot of and in most ways, I think it has come for the better, really, that there is so many, you know, it's such a sort of vast kind of community.
That's kind of why I brought up the whole Bricks in Motion thing 10 years ago. Or for a long time, I've kind of wanted to clear the air about that because it's totally not the case anymore, and it's a much different atmosphere, I think.
Yeah, and I think people are kind of just genuinely more encouraging, and I think people don't really care if something is like a licensed deemed brick film or anything like that. I think it's generally like I think generally speaking, at least anyway, I think people are just kind of like appreciate a good quality brick film, you know, regardless of how successful it is, or you know, I think it's taken a lot of time to get to that, but I think it's definitely improved, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think it's important to have your video like get views. Like I think you should try to get views. I mean, I don't think you should try to make a video that is something that is very like personal to you like all the time, because like really like I personally believe like if you put on a show and no one comes to your show, then you didn't put on a show. There's no show without an audience. So like to get as many views as possible is really like necessary to actually create like a piece of art, in my opinion.
I feel like the tables have kind of turned now, because people look at the stuff you're making now and they think, man, these deserve more views than they're getting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the broad scope of things, like, yeah, like as a YouTuber, like I'm very small time. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, I kind of just see like everybody's stuff as like, you know, their own, you know, original creation and, you know, their own thing. Like I've never been big on like being a part of like a group or a subsection of a group or like a union or like anything like that. It's more just like, this is my stuff, you know, and it's sure like we all use brick toys, you know, to make it, but my videos are completely different than your videos, you know, and that's really positive. Like we don't want to all be the same.
I think it's kind of like and a lot of kind of media, like film, TV, and music. It's like there's always kind of like the hipster kind of people that sort of think that anything that's mainstream and does really well is bad and that it's against like artistic integrity and that kind of stuff. But I think it gets to the point where people are too worried about their image kind of like the opposite way in that they try really hard to dislike things for being popular and successful.
Yeah, I really don't understand that kind of like mentality. Like I've known people like that who just like they just want to hate stuff, and it's so much better just to like let that go. Yeah, and just like enjoy what you enjoy and don't focus so much on like the negative aspects of things.
Yeah,
because like that's just like that's not really helping anyone, including yourself. So it's just like like what you like and talk about that, but like why do you need to go on like a rant about something that you think is so bad? Just like let it be.
Kind of funny, like a personal story of mine is that I spent a few years like not paying attention to the community or other brick films much, but still brick filming occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I returned to the community in like 2013 or 2014. And like when I left, to mention Forrestfire in a thread, the whole thread would just turn to crap. And when I returned, suddenly everyone's talking about how amazing your films are. So I was like, whoa, what happened here? Because, I'm like, whoa, Forrestfire, isn't that the guy his fight scenes, they just like roll around on the floor? And then, I looked at your channel and I think I saw the Justice League and the Hobbit films and I was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, I mean, it was definitely like very like vitriolic, like the way they went about it. But reading through it, I was like, yeah, like, they're kind of right. Like a lot of like the comments they had about my videos, like, were like, yeah, I could improve like my angles. Like maybe I shouldn't shoot everything like a bird's eye view. Yeah. And like, yeah, like maybe I don't know. I forgot like what other criticisms there were, but there were some like legitimate points.
I mean, yeah.
And so I kind of addressed those points like intentionally, and it was like kind of a positive experience.
I'm actually amazed to hear that because I mean, even though there were a lot of good points, just the way they went about it most of the time, it was so bad.
It was kind of like I'll show you kind of feeling too. Like, oh, you think I'm bad? Well, how about this? So it was kind of motivational and kind of like a spiteful kind of way.
I'm really glad to hear that after so long.
Yeah.
I feel like in general, in a big way, attitudes towards making money and receiving views online has changed. Like, you see people who watch YouTubers nowadays and they're really happy to see their favorite YouTubers like get their videos monetized and get sponsorships. But I'm sure you remember back in the early years of YouTube, the audiences would be furious if somebody did a sponsorship like in the video.
Oh yeah, that's definitely changed a lot. Yeah. I think people are a lot more like understanding of like artists like situation now. They understand that that's like part of the deal. YouTube has become a very, very commercialized place. It's a lot different than it used to be. And certainly. it's not the same as it used to be, and it never will be, but we just kind of have to accept that and like move on and not like cling to the past. It was great for a time where like every video was just like a unique like artistic like it felt like it, like every video was like just this like cool like sketch that somebody did or like this cool video that they produced. And now it's like 99% of videos are like top 10 Marvel moments, that kind of stuff.
But I think there's like if you really kind of like spend time to really look and find stuff, I think you'll find there's a lot of really talented and funny and and really just like cool people on YouTube who do lots of sketches and all these kind of things, which and they do make a decent amount of money from it. Their content is their like career, but it's not all just kind of like mindless just for money kind of thing. I think a lot of people it is their job, but also it is a passion as well.
Yeah, I think there's probably more people than ever producing original content, but I think it's just a lot harder to find them than it used to be.
And I think that's true of pretty much anything, actually. It's true of brick filming, but also like again like movies, TV, and music. It's just finding the talented people. There are definitely more talented people than there ever was before.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah, I think it's still definitely a place that you can find that stuff. It's just you have to make a pretty concerted effort to like look for that kind of thing. And yeah, once you like find someone like that, you really got to hang on for dear life, because like those people are so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube systems change so much, and I think that's really why it's harder to find the best stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like a lot of times, yeah, I won't even see like videos in my subscription box that came out and stuff. So it's like it's tricky. Like they don't show you everything. Like subscribing to someone doesn't really mean the same thing as it used to, which is kind of weird and sad. But yeah, if you like someone enough, you can like follow them on Instagram and on Twitter and be more connected with them and know what's going on.
There seems to be a thing with YouTube. It's almost as if they want you to not see every single video of someone, because it used to be you subscribe to someone, you see all their stuff, and then they did a notification bell, and then you click the bell, and then you see their notifications. But then it became only certain notifications, and it's like you have to click like another thing for it to be everything, and it's like they're constantly trying all these different things to try and I guess make you not see videos. I don't really know exactly what they're trying to do.
I don't understand that, yeah, but I do. I try to look at positive sides, and I do think it's certainly a change for the better compared to the old days, how the audiences are happy for their favorite YouTubers to actually be successful.
Yeah, and I think it really, if you actually care enough about a certain like content creator, you do actually check your subscription feed regularly, and you see their new video. It's like I think in a lot of ways, maybe YouTube doing all these sort of changes, it brings the most loyal sort of fans. It means more when they keep watching your stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I'm not too upset about that kind of stuff. The only thing that I worry about with YouTube these days is like censorship and like them like blocking your ability to either post or monetize videos with questionable content. And yeah, that really bothers me. And hopefully they're making changes, since like the adpocalypse thing happened, to improve their bots and their algorithms. But yeah, like it's definitely really troubling when like your like freedom of artistic expression is like cut off or limited. And yeah, if that kind of thing keeps happening, then I feel like YouTube will be less and less of a place for like just like content creators to go to.
Yeah. And I think they do kind of make a lot of unnecessary changes, just updates to just make the kind of like way of doing stuff just more complicated. And like I really don't like their new like updated setup for like uploading, and I just keep going back onto the classic version because it's just what I know. And one of the things that's really annoying me now, and I'm looking at it right now because I'm doing it's Google Hangouts, and I can see that I got a message saying that Hangouts on Air is going away on the 1st of August. So this means that I will no longer be able to live stream from Google Hangouts from next month. So that means now I'm going to have to try and find a new way of making these podcasts, which is worrying me, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess you can do it on Skype, maybe?
I suppose. I mean...
That's how the Four Monkeys did theirs.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're always changing stuff and phasing things out and phasing new things in. Yeah, like recently they got rid of annotations, which is like troubling. Yeah, because like they set up this thing annotations, and everyone added those things to their videos and like created videos for those special annotations. And now they recently took all those away, and now you can only add cards, which are like direct links to videos, and you can only place them in certain areas. And so now, like, all my videos that have, like, smaller videos at the end, like, you click on them and nothing happens. So it's kind of lame.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with Spastic Chihuahua.
Yeah, I know Spastic. Yeah.
I mean, he did a video, I think well over 10 years ago, that was kind of like a sort of point-and-click sort of adventure thing that was like a game that was on YouTube. Right. And now, because there's no longer any annotations, the game you can't really play anymore.
Yeah, it's a big bummer. Yeah, for people who did. I did a few things like that too on my like Christmas specials, and I just linked all the options in the description. But yeah, it's a shame. It's kind of a bummer you can't, like use the feature anymore, because like a lot of videos were back in the day were designed with that feature in mind. So. Yeah, I kind of get why they did it, because like they could never get annotations to work on like mobile devices.
Yeah, that's always been a bit of a weakness. I mean, a lot of people do use use it on their phone, so it seems strange that they never really thought to adapt it to that. I don't really understand why they didn't.
Well, yeah, like I heard they were trying to like years and years ago, like way back in the day. They were like, "Yep, like annotations are linked. Mobile annotations are coming. Like they're coming." But like they never got around. They never figured out. I think it's probably something in like the way it was formatted or like the way the code was written that just made it impossible. So like they just kind of had to create this whole new system called cards to actually be able to be like applicable to phones and mobile devices. That's my theory anyway. But yeah, things change. As long as they like let me like upload like videos for free, like I'll still use them. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a free service, and you can upload stuff, and they pay you a percentage of the revenue they generate, which is cool. There's just certain things you're just like, I wouldn't have done that, but you're not the one running YouTube, so you can't really complain.
I guess that's the director in you.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think another cool feature they could add for content creators, or like I don't know what to call us exactly, but like kind of like people who are more like filmmakers, I guess. Because there's like the vloggers and stuff, and there's like the gaming channels and stuff. But I think it'd be cool if there's like a feature that was like like a cinematic feature where like you could say like this is like a piece of like original like art or film. I don't really know how to describe it exactly. But it'd be cool if there was like a little hot button or something you could click to like only show you videos that were like original like short films or something.
But the interesting thing, I mean, obviously Vimeo by far is not as successful as YouTube, but they do have some interesting features. I think they're kind of like more into like artistic kind of works.
Right. Yeah, kind of like a Vimeo on YouTube. Yeah. Like if they could kind of distinguish between like, because I like a lot of vlogs. I like a lot of, people who are just YouTubers who do, crazy challenges and stuff. But, like, it's so hard to differentiate what's an actual, like, short film or a piece of, like, artistic, expression versus just, like, kind of a personality. So, yeah, I think that'd be cool if there was a feature, like, that let you know what's what. And if those people were given, like, an option to upload, like, at a higher quality. Because another thing that bothers me about YouTube is just, like, they really compress the hell out of your videos to a point to where like it just looks bad. Like if you pause, especially like with fast motion and stuff, like if you pause somewhere like in a shot in my video like Captain America Nazi Zombies, the compression it makes it look so garbage even at 1080p. So I have been uploading in 4K recently, and that makes it a lot better. And even though I'm shooting this new video I'm working on in 1080p, like I'm probably just going to upload it in 4K anyway, just like upscale it, just because I think it'll look better. It'll retain more quality that way. But yeah, if you upload the same exact file to Vimeo, it's going to look like light years better. And that's exactly what I did for Nazi Zombies. And you can just like kind of tell the difference.
Yeah, it's super noticeable, the difference.
I just, like, one of the things that it really does bug me, like, with my videos on YouTube, is like it's strange because it's not just like they always distort like the quality to a certain degree. It's like each video varies. There's like some of my videos will look way better than others, and there doesn't really seem to be any reason why.
Are you compressing them like the same way?
Yeah, like I think I am. Yeah, and it's just weird.
That's interesting. Yeah, I do a lot of tests and stuff. Like I have a private channel that I upload like unlisted videos to. Like as I go, like I'll upload like versions of them and stuff to kind of like tweak settings and figure out like how I can compress it to make it look the best on YouTube. But yeah, no matter what you do, it's always going to look bad, compared to like the original file. So yeah, eventually I'll upload my like Lego Batman Retires series like to Vimeo like as just one long 16-minute video, and I'll probably upload like a YouTube version as well. I don't really know what to make the thumbnail though, because like I don't want to like bait people into thinking that it's like another episode, but I would like to post all 4 episodes together in one video. So I guess I'll create like a new thumbnail, but like yeah, I just don't want to like trick people into thinking that like it's a whole new Batman episode.
Well, I suppose if you had a lot of text in the thumbnail, maybe a big like 1 to 4 or
Yeah,
even the word
something like
compilation
that.
or something.
Yes, something like that.
I think even if you just put full movie, it would be clear. Like, I think that it was. I mean, a lot of people do that. They'll do like a series and then turn it into one film. I think it'd be alright.
I'm looking at Forlorn Creatures channel. He has the Minecraft Creepers series, and the thumbnail has large text that says Creepers Parts 1 to 4. But the idea of a YouTube for filmmakers, I suppose it's not that crazy a thought, because they do have YouTube gaming and subsections such as that.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think that would be really cool. And that's something that they could implement that I don't think would take too much time.
I mean, one of the things that I'm actually seeing recently, and I think it's actually a good thing from YouTube, is on the like recommended. I get some sort of things of like people who also watch this channel, also like this channel, and it'll be a smaller channel. That's something I'm really liking with YouTube, and I think that's sort of thing they should sort of encourage. Like doing that kind of thing of supporting smaller channels which do similar content to the bigger ones. That's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, I think what's one of the things I think I'd like to see is like I suppose, discovery section, where it's kind of like a section which is specifically just that, where it's kind of like, here are smaller channels that do content that you might like,
Yeah, kind of like how they used to do like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the early days, some area that always interests me is, I wonder if you can recall any early brick films or brick filmers that were influential on your own work when you were starting out.
That's a good question. Yeah, like I said, like when I was first starting out, it was mostly like Robot Chicken and like just like actual movies that were really inspiring to me, like Batman the Animated Series and like, Quentin Tarantino and stuff. Like South Park, like Team America World Police was super inspirational. But in terms of like brick filmers, I guess I would say like the first brick filmer I thought was like super cool was like Keshin, and I just like thought his stuff was just so amazing. And I mean, I still do. But that back then, even especially, I was just so like in awe by it, and I wanted to be as good as him. And yeah, like pretty much like Sean Willets and Zach, just people I ended up getting really close with and really connecting with on a personal level.
Were you like a big fan of Fancy Pants?
Yeah. I mean, Fancy Pants, I wasn't like a huge fan, but I mean, I definitely really liked his like Force Unleashed video a lot. That video still holds up to this day, and yeah, I think I never really watched his like clone series, but I know like a lot of people really enjoyed that clone series he did.
Yeah, I think like I think his most popular film is the Clone Training Center.
Right.
And that still holds up. I think it is really well written. It's a funny film.
Yeah, it was so sad when he had to leave for like 2 years on his mission.
I wonder if we'll hear from him again. Being a bit quiet.
Yeah, he came back from his mission, and I think he posted a few things. But yeah, he's been pretty quiet. Yeah, I think he's married now.
Yeah,
married, and I think he's got a few kids.
Yes, yeah, it's understandable that he's busy.
Definitely. But yeah, I think it's always cool to see like brick filmers who continue to brick film like after all this time. Like Keshin, he's still doing his thing, which is really cool. He takes a long time between uploads like me, but it still happens eventually.
I think it's kind of nice, like I suppose almost like a consistency. Like occasionally you'll get a new Keshin video, and he's doing similar stuff to like what he has been doing for years, and it's kind of nice. I like that, It's like another video by Keshin,
Yeah, Keshin's Captain America and Iron Man fight video was so good.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
that was so super cool.
One of the funniest is probably Iron Man's new suit.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome too. Yeah,
and his follow up, which is I think his car, was it? I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Keshin's really funny.
Yeah, he is.
He's got like a very like unique like him sense of humor, and yeah, I really like the Days of Our Pizza one is another favorite as well. It's kind of an older one, but it's still super funny. Like the whole premise is great.
Yeah, it's a classic and it really holds up.
Yeah, totally.
A while ago, I was looking back at your old stuff, and I started to notice that I will kind of like a step up in like your Harry Potter films from like 2011.
Yeah, I think that's when they started to get kind of good. Yeah, I think my first like really like good Lego video was probably like, I don't know, the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows trailer.
Yeah, I particularly like Mischief Unmanaged, I think it is.
Oh yeah, then followed up with Mischief Unmanaged. I was really into Harry Potter for a long time. I should do another Harry Potter video because like
yeah, that you should.
There's a lot of Harry Potter fans out there.
And also, I mean, with the new sets that have come out, it'll be a good opportunity.
Oh yeah, those new sets are awesome.
But yeah, I feel like when you're young, you can get to a certain point where you can make films decently enough and just sort of operate on autopilot for a while. And then as soon as you start thinking about it, everything improves very rapidly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it does seem to be a thing for a lot of brick filmers that you kind of just suddenly get good. if that makes sense. Like, it's just like you get to like a sudden like step up, like suddenly. And
it's like a switch is flipped.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're trying.
Yeah, I think the Lego Captain America, the first one too, was like the first video I did that was like just all action, and I think I learned a lot on that production, because you can actually notice like the beginning of the video isn't as strong animation wise as the end of the video, because I was animating so much action that I started to kind of figure it out. I'd never really done so much action at one time like that before. So, yeah, it really improved there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can take an ambitious project to really teach you a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you go into like an ambitious project. I think a lot of the time, and you kind of at first it seems really daunting and really kind of scary almost, and then you do it, and then you find when you go on to do your next project that replicating it is actually not that difficult.
Right. Yeah, and then also like I moved to LA like around that time, and I started working with Sean Willets like really like on a personal level, and like seeing him work was really inspiring, and like I just wanted to get on his level, like I saw how he animated, and I took like a lot of notice on how he did like impacts and how he moved the characters in like unconventional kind of like ways. Like I tended to have a more of a robotic kind of feel to like my movements, and he really like does a lot of stuff where he like breaks up the body and like the arms and kind of like the shape of the figures to make it more like lifelike. And I think I started replicating that a lot more when I started working with him.
I think Sean Willets is a great example of like someone who learned a lot quite suddenly, quite quickly. I think throughout his Tim and Fred series, I mean, he did a lot of them within quite a short period of time, and I think within that sort of time, he managed to really hone his skills a lot.
Was Sean ever bad? Like I can't even ever think of a video that was like bad. Like literally, like every time I looked at his stuff, it was always like, "Whoa, that's crazy good."
I feel like ever since like 2009, his stuff has just been animation wise just a cut above. He just has some special knack for it, I think. In addition to all the work he put in, of course. It's
kind of funny, man. Right. I really love like his stuff, but I hadn't really watched a lot of his stuff until like just before our podcast with him, and I was like sort of binging his stuff, and I watched like the first sort of like series of Tim and Fred, and I think from the very start it's good, but like we got to like the Halloween special, and I was like really amazed, just like how much what a step up that was from like the previous stuff. Like he really like that must have been like his first like real like, ambitious sort of right. film he did.
But I know what you mean when saying that like your animation at that time that you were doing was, I mean, that we were all doing was robotic. That was like the standard, 10 plus years ago. Everything was just kind of arm up, walk cycle. But yeah, Sean's stuff, I mean, really, the only other person I can think of is Zach, who was doing fluid character animation.
Like that. Right. Like putting a lot of like character like into these figures and making them feel like people and not just like Legos. Yeah, right.
Ahead of the game.
Definitely. Yeah, just working with Sean really helped me a lot, and I'm at a place with my animation that I'm really happy with now.
I mean, yeah, it's great now. In fact, I was kind of curious to know what parts did Sean and Zach actually animate on the new Batman video, because I noticed their names in the credits, and I I mean, I was under the impression that you were basically working on this one yourself mostly.
Yeah, their contribution to that particular video was pretty minimal. I did most of it myself, but Zach, he animated the shot where Batman's walking down the street and there's a long panning shot of there's a guy getting mugged in the alleyway. He animated that whole shot, and that was a big shot, and I'm really glad that I got to pawn that off on him, because I did not want to animate it, and he did an excellent job. Because that was actually animated at Paul's studio, and we were able to use his motion control rig. So that whole set, all the lights, all the Lego was all brought there just for that one shot. Nothing else was animated at Paul's studio. So
wow.
Yeah, it was like, and I think I flew him down like from San Francisco just to do this shot. Like literally, like it was like this whole production just to get this one shot. But it was so worth it because he did such a fantastic job. It took him 2 days.
I assumed that was one of Sean's shots because I'm pretty sure I saw Tim and Fred in that shot.
Yeah, I think Tim is leaning on the light post at the end of the shot. Yeah, I just kind of throw Tim in wherever I can, just as a reference to Sean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was a personal calling card or not.
No, he's just in a lot of my videos in the background. But yeah, I think, let's see. Yeah, I did everything. I think Sean animated the shots of Batman in the cockpit of the Batwing when he either did all of them or most of them when Batman's actually in the cockpit talking to Aquaman on the screen. And then the Aquaman shots, I think 1 or 2 of them may have been done by Zach, but I animated on that as well. So that's pretty much, their whole contribution to the video. Everything in the Batcave was all me.
So it's kind of like the kind of Brickfilm equivalent of like guest appearances, but like animating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I could have afforded them for longer, I definitely would have. It was just like, you have to pay them, and it's not cheap. Also just with like the where we are location wise, half of it was shot in LA, and then once they move into the Batcave, most of that was shot in St. Louis, where where they don't live. So I had to do it all myself.
Yeah, I mean, so this might be kind of going back a little bit because my microphone's been playing up slightly and I've been sort of disconnecting. I was just going to say before it's disconnected that to some extent when we're kind of learning, we almost try and achieve sort of robotic movements in a way, because we kind of almost think of that as being like smooth and like easing in and out kind of thing, right. But like I think as we go along, we kind of start to realize that I think we need to add some sort of character to it, and we kind of sort of, I guess, almost break the walls to some extent. I
was like that. I'd always have tack on the feet of the figures, so like if they were leaning forward, the arm is going up and down, they'd just be dead rigid. They wouldn't shake or anything. But I think it's better to let them sort of move a tiny bit, and then you have to kind of follow through with it, or so that it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, another thing. I mean, you can use tack also to add some fluidity as well. And like most of the time now, and I think I learned this from Mighty Wanderer. Whenever the legs are not in shot, so you have like a closer shot of a minifigure, he puts tacks on on their feet, so that I think it adds a much nicer movement for like dialogue scenes. And I've been trying that recently, and I really love it. And I think if you've got like stiff, if the figures have got stiff legs, it doesn't really matter because they're not like directly attached to the studs.
I might be wrong, but I feel like he mightn't even put legs on the figures at all. He just has the torso on a blob of tack.
Oh, possibly.
Sometimes if it's close enough.
Yeah, I've definitely done that before. Another good trick is using like sandpaper where the head connects to.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that.
The neck peg.
The neck peg, yeah. You use sandpaper on the neck peg to really sand it down so that like the head can just move and swivel like, super easily.
I love doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps out a lot.
There's a brick filmer called Pong Owl, and in every single video of his, he sands the heads, and it's become like one of his kind of signature things that he does.
He goes so far that he can rock the heads like back and forth and side to side. Gets a new range of motion out of them.
Yeah, one of the things I did for this new Batman video too is like after Batman gets taken into the cave by the Jokers, his from that scene on, his head is like, I actually cut off the neck peg and I drilled in to his body and I attached his head with a piece of wire.
Wow.
So his head, if you notice, his head actually bobs up and down, and it kind of like turns side to side in ways that wouldn't be allowed, normally. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, it actually, I thought at first it might be too much, like it might be like odd looking or too noticeable, but it really doesn't. You don't really think about it too much. But it wouldn't. Yeah, a lot of the moves I get from him, wouldn't be possible. Like you can have you can have his body bending down, but his head looking directly like straight forward, which is like really helpful in certain situations.
I've always been in favor of damaging the Lego when it'll lead to a better film.
Yeah, some people get really upset about that kind of thing because it's like they're like Lego purists and everything, and they're like, I get the comment a lot like like what a waste of Lego, and it's
but it's not a waste.
It's not a waste. Yeah, it's like the whole reason I bought this Lego was to make this film, like, so it's not a waste. Like the film's online, it has 10 million views. Like I don't think that's a waste, dude.
I mean, I think it's you must have got a lot of that when you released the Captain America Nazi Zombies.
Yeah, the Nazi Zombies one. Yeah, people were pretty upset about that one. Just because of all the Lego that it's not like they're gonna own it ever anyway. It's my Lego, so I don't really understand the. I guess it's just like sacred, at a certain point to some people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think I guess maybe it's a lot of younger people who just could never fathom like being able to afford something they're going to break.
Right. Yeah.
I think that
a lot of people were saying that like they thought it was like edited in, and I'd be like, damn, no, I'd be a really good editor. I'd be a really good CGI artist if I could edit all this destruction onto them. So yeah, it has to be like younger kids who don't really quite understand how the process works.
Well, and there are some Lego purists, of course, of all ages.
Right. But yeah, I'll break a Lego for sure.
I think to me it would depend on what sort of figure it was that I was kind of destroying. And if it was something that there was kind of like a newer one, which I didn't really have that much like sentimental value for, or it doesn't have like a like age to it, I wouldn't feel anything about destroying it if I had to.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I do like, I don't know, I'm a big fan of going against what you kind of is expected, I suppose, out of Lego, having to break things in order to get the result you want. I mean, and I don't really do it myself much, but I mean, I think the closest I did, I suppose, because I think if you get a lot of sets, you probably end up with loads and loads of those Lego handcuffs. Like, I got so many of these now.
Right.
So I just got some scissors and cut them in half, because it's sort of rubbery. It's quite easy to do. As it sort of like gives this effect of like like breaking the chain, and that kind of effect you wouldn't get otherwise unless you broke it.
Totally.
I mean, that's a much more minor kind of like thing compared to like destroying a Lego figure, but Yeah,
it's crazy too when you do it on a figure that like you only have one of. Because, like, I remember there's this one shot I did in the new Batman video where Superman uses his heat vision and cuts down a whole, like, line of Jokers. And I pretty much, like, animated it, in one take because, like, if I didn't get that take, if something happened or... I don't know. If there was some kind of huge issue, then it would have been really difficult to... I would have to just redo the whole shot and set it up with all new Jokers.
Wow, I didn't even thought about that.
And the shot, like previously where they're all running up to the door and then Barbara hacks it closed, I would have had to redo that shot with new Jokers. Because, all these Jokers are like one-offs.
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't really think about that when I was watching the film.
Do you actually come across any, like, major problems like that, then?
Not often. Like, the worst-case scenario, I guess, is, like, maybe you, like, bump the camera really bad. But in that case, you could probably get it back to where it was. or like maybe you have like a power failure or something. But you know, in that case, you could probably just wait until the power is back on. So yeah, I mean, it's not like that huge of a risk, but it's just something, you know, you kind of think about. You're like, yep, I got like one shot at this. Or maybe you don't like the shot, you know, maybe like, you know, usually my policy is just like, if you don't like the frame, don't take the frame. Like I play my frames into black as I animate, on Dragon Frame, so I can kind of like imagine what the next frame would be. And if I'm not crazy about a frame, like I just won't take it. I'll just keep fiddling with the frame until it looks right. Like sometimes, you know, I'll be animating and it'll take me 30 seconds to change all the figures and it looks fine. But then sometimes the next frame, it'll take me 10 minutes. You know, it just kind of depends on like if it feels right or not. But yeah, that's something to think about. Like, yeah, when you're destroying figures, it's like, okay, you got one shot at this.
Yeah, like quite often, like part of me, like when I really don't know how to animate something, I don't know if you do this yourself. I just take loads and loads of frames and very small movements. And then once I've animated it, I just sort of go through the frames, delete certain ones, and then you've got more material than you need to do what you want, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have more than less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Like, I think I've had, you know, if you do like a shot where like half of it is really good, but then like the rest of it is just like, no, you know, and you've kind of like the sort of the shot is too short to kind of like cut like in half, and it's, you know. Yeah,
I feel like I've done that before for sure, like especially during like action scenes or like a moment where a character hits another character. I tend to animate a little bit too smooth, so sometimes I'll just cut one frame from the shot and it'll just make the impact feel so much better.
Yeah, that's a great tip that I tell people, that you can cut out 1 or 2 frames depending on where they are, and you can save a shot sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like hits are really important and they're really fun to animate because like it's really got to think of it like a firework, you know, that the firework explodes so fast and then it dissipates very slowly. So that first initial hit has to be like an explosion because everything's going to slow down from there. It's like the opposite of ease in, ease out. It's like big explosion, ease out. So that's something that, like, you know, took me a while to get, but once I got it, I was like, oh, this is how you do a hit. This is how you do a punch or whatever.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's might be a more important principle than ease in, ease out to know.
Yeah, because ease in, ease out is very important, and it took me a while to understand that too, probably a few years. But yeah, once I got that, it was kind of like too easy and too easing out, especially with these hits. Yeah, and it's like you really got to sell that impact by just like catapulting them across the screen like immediately once they get hit.
I think to some extent things like ease in and out become sort of second nature and you don't really think too much about it.
Right.
For me, I kind of like for quite a while, I think it took me a while to kind of like comprehend the kind of like whole sort of concept of, well, how, you know, how to do it kind of thing. But I think by the time I got the hang of it, I kind of didn't really think about it. And I think you just kind of just sort of know, like, if something looks right.
Yeah, definitely. Especially having an animation software. Like, for the longest time, I just didn't have any animation software. I only really started using it, like, on Justice League, like the first Justice League movie. And, yeah, it makes a world of difference to be able to play back your frames in real time. And a lot of, I mean, it depends on who you are, but, like, some animators I've known, like, they play it to, like, the current frame. Like, they play it to live view. I think most animators I know do that, actually. But, like, really, like, I really like playing it into black. For some reason, that helps me just kind of envision, like, the motion and, like, where it's going. Because I can kind of see the next frame before it's taken. Before I do it. And, yeah, if I'm not feeling right about the last frame, I just don't take the frame. Like, I try not to get myself into a situation where I'm not liking the shot, you know?
Yeah, I do the same, actually. I don't play it into the current view, and I never even really considered doing it the other way.
Yeah. For me, it just feels like everything stops, and it's like, oh, like what's happening? But like, yeah, if it goes into black, then you're like, oh, okay, like that could be the end of the shot, but I want the shot to keep going. So what's the next frame going to look like? Yeah, right.
Personally, I've always kind of done it with live view, but the funny thing for my setup is that it pretty much has stayed consistent throughout, like from the very start. Like I've never actually sort of not had an animation software, and the software I use now is actually the exact same software that I used at the very beginning. So I think it's I've had the kind of like the advantage of I guess always being able to look back at the old frames and stuff, which I think if you didn't, I really couldn't imagine like animating without software. I imagine that must have been really difficult. For both of you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know anything better, so like I just kind of thought that's how it was. But then once I started using the software, it was weird at first, but then I was like, oh, like look what I've been missing this whole time.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. You suddenly realize how was I doing it without this for so many years?
Yeah, and like really back in the day before there was software like for it, there was this thing called like a lunchbox. That's what they used on like productions like Nightmare Before Christmas, and it was like this external like machine that would play back your animation. It was crazy. Yeah, so thankfully I never had to use that thing. That sounds awful. But yeah, that's how they did it back in the day.
Are you guys familiar with Ray Harryhausen?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's all. But one of the things I watched a documentary with him in it, a couple years ago now, and one of the things that he was saying is that I think it's one of the films where he's got like a monster with like several heads, and he never was able to obviously look back and see what he's done, so he just had to guess like what the previous what the previous frame was like, with the like like what position the heads were in, and if he's moved the head in this shot and all that kind of stuff, and like that kind of thing just seems like an absolute nightmare. I could never imagine having to do that.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, that sounds so bad. It's really impressive, like what they're able to pull off, like back in the day, like with like King Kong and all that stuff. Even though it looks kind of jittery, it's still like, yeah, it's just really incredible.
Yeah,
it's still impressive for what they had to work with.
I often think about that with a lot of things, technology. Like today, it's like we kind of complain about some sort of very minor things, and you think back to like the way it was for a lot of people like years ago. We sort of have nothing to complain about, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we take a lot of stuff for granted because we're so used to it. But yeah, like things just keep improving and things keep getting better and better. It's really awesome. There's so many cool plugins too for After Effects now. Like you can just do so much that you couldn't do before.
Come to think of it, I suppose we should probably think about talking about the Brickfilm Showcase films soon.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into that.
Yeah, sure. I guess, I start off, don't I? Yeah, so my pick was a film called Hold the Lines Operation Cobra. So this is a 2017 Brick film. I remember it, when it came out, being really impressed by it. It's a very action-heavy film, and it's actually a continuation on a pretty old series, I think. I'm pretty sure that the older films were in French only, weren't they? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is like I think they were like in the like late 2000s. So this is kind of like a sort of I assume the final part of like this ongoing series, and it's just I remember it coming out, and it's actually one of the only films I can think of like that I think I saw the trailer on Facebook. Originally, and I hadn't heard of the guys before that made it, and I saw this trailer, and I was thinking, oh, this looks really cool, and usually I don't usually like sort of come across like a trailer on Facebook and find like a new brick filmer. It's like not something that usually happens, so it's quite funny. I think it was just like a recommended sponsored video on Facebook. That's how I came across the video, and no, it's a really cool video. I don't know how much to say about it really, but it is really cool. Like a lot of really cool actions, sort of like sequences, and some really sort of impressive special effects work, which blends really well with the stop motion. I think it's a great example of having some really great like added special effects, but also a lot of decent practical effects kind of combined. It's a nice sort of blend of the two, and it's just a really cool looking film, and it's a film I really sort of I go back to quite a lot because I really enjoy this kind of film. Yeah,
you can tell he put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it certainly feels a lot more, like, I mean, for lack of a better term, real than the average brick film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's kind of like I don't know. I think you sort of forget that you're watching a brick film in many ways. I think it just feels like an action film, you know.
Yeah, especially with the opening sequence, like the opening titles.
Yeah, like the Bond's kind of like inspired. Yeah, like
it just overall feels well
very
put
cinematic.
Together.
Yeah. I was really impressed with this when it came out too. I thought it was just very filmic, and you could tell like a lot of care and thought went into it.
And actually, I suppose you mentioned there that it's part of a series, and I think that's an interesting point because I don't think many people are aware that there are films preceding this because they're not on YouTube. But the first two Hold the Lines films, they are a lot more rough in the way they're made, but they actually have some standout cinematography. It's quite nice. I think they're worth checking out as well.
Yeah, I'll go back and check those out because I don't think I've seen the other ones.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any of the previous ones. Mostly because actually, do they have English subtitles?
I don't think so.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they are like half an hour and in French, so they're kind of hard to get into. But I was pleasantly surprised by aspects that I liked.
Yeah, but I think what's good about this is that it continues the story, but you don't feel lost by not seeing the previous ones. It's quite good.
Certainly the best starting point.
Yeah, it's a good starting point. There's a few sort of series like that I can think of. Like I think Biff and Mario is sort of similar in that the first films are kind of like quite hard to get into.
If you haven't already seen Taco Trouble.
Yeah, but Taco Trouble is the best sort of like starting point. Yeah. I think it's sort of like that in many ways. I do definitely want to actually look back at the older ones of these. I think in terms of story, it's got a sort of pretty entertaining plot as well.
I love how he's like the two guys are running down the hallway at like 7 minutes 9 seconds. They both have they're both holding their guns in like the funniest coolest way. Like one guy's got his gun like held up and his left arm is broken off and it's over his chest, and the other guy's got his like right arm broken off and is over his chest, and like they're just holding their guns in such a pose. And I think that's so important in brick films, is like hitting these poses, and pretty much in all animation, like you're going from pose to pose, and the clearer and more concise your poses are, it almost makes up for not as smooth animation.
For sure. I mean, in that shot, it's a great shot to look at, and they almost look like they're just being puppeted.
I actually did think that. The first time I watched it, it caught me off guard a little bit, and I actually found it quite funny because it reminded me a little bit of like Team America. Like sort of puppet. Yeah. It is almost kind of unintentionally funny in a lot of ways.
I think all brick films are kind of like really just funny because Legos are so goofy looking,
Yeah.
So whenever someone tries to make like a serious brick film, like I've seen a few that have kind of gotten close or kind of work as a serious like feature, but like most of them come off as kind of unintentionally funny. And I think this one works because it's more. I don't think it's trying to be like really deep or meaningful. I think what I get from it is that it's trying to just be like kind of an action movie, which is like perfect.
It's an homage, like it's a pastiche. So
it does give me those Team America vibes, where it's just hilarious to see these like little Lego guys like murdering each other and running around.
One of the reasons I really like this is that it's not very particularly a serious film. And I think the more that I've sort of got into kind of like animating like action sequences, the less I've kind of worried about like the kind of seriousness of like plot and stuff. I used to be very much more into like very serious plots that have like deep meanings and all that kind of stuff. But I have to admit, I think more and more I'm just sort of getting into the fun of like sort of dumb action films, and I think sort of in a lot of ways dumb action films can be some of my favorites actually.
Totally, yeah. It's just about you can still create an emotional response without it being like quote unquote like deep. You can create like a visceral emotional like reaction to the events on screen. I love the way his around like 752, where his like cape is like waving. He's kind of like puppet tooling it like digitally. And it's kind of waving in the wind. His little jacket.
Oh yeah.
it's just really cute.
Another thing that kind of again it's not taking itself too serious again is the Playmobil figure.
Oh yeah.
That is really funny.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that is Playmobil. It's not even Lego.
It's like the idea that Playmobil could be like a sort of like a monster in the Lego world is actually pretty funny.
I want to do a video where the Justice League has to fight knockoff Legos, like a knockoff like Lego. You know how like there's all these like Chinese knockoff Lego companies now.
Yeah.
And
they do plenty of superhero figures. Yeah.
And they do all these like terrible looking like superhero figures. There's some good ones like out there, but there's some like really really bad ones too. And I was thinking about just like ordering like the worst like figures possible, like the evil version of the Justice League, kind of like the Bizarro, or like maybe like even like Creo or some kind of like, yeah. There's certain brands that are associated with this, but like I think that'd be so funny if they had to fight these like horrible monstrosities.
Have you ever seen the Robot Chicken sketch? The
zombie sketch.
Zombie sketch, yeah.
I have.
Yeah, the Lego animation.
World War B.
I love that sketch. Yeah, I love the animation in that. It's so expressive.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's really quite funny.
Yeah, they play around a bit with that concept too. Yeah.
I mean, this is going a bit sort of away from the film, but one of the reasons I love that sketch is that it manages to parody the film, they make fun of the plot, and also has a lot of fun with the concept of fake Lego. I think that's kind of clever how they did both.
Yeah, that was a really good sketch.
But it's always good when a parody you don't have to know the source material that well, and it's still funny.
Yeah. I wonder who worked on that one. I should have asked like who animated that, because they did a really good job.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know actually, like, because you always imagine like if non-brickfilmers tried to do stop motion with Lego, that it would just be animated differently. Like it wouldn't sort of be like, I don't know, just wouldn't be animated the same way that we would animate somehow.
Yeah, someone who got their start animating like puppets and stuff probably has different sensibilities to it.
But yeah, I suppose what else to say about the film? I mean, yeah, it's one of my favourite films from 2017, and it's kind of one of those sort of films that kind of made me think about like the type of films that I wanted to make, and I think I kind of realised that I guess I just like making sort of fun films more than just sort of deep, serious films, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think like the world's already pretty deep enough. Real life is already pretty deep. For me, yeah, I've always just enjoyed making like fun films. Yeah, I think for people who have something like really important to say, like they should do it. But yeah, so far I haven't had any kind of like real like thesis or like argument to be made that I felt the need to express like visually through like, picture and sound. I think really it's just about entertaining people at this point,
especially within this medium.
Yeah, especially with Lego. It's just like they're so funny.
yeah, they are sort of always inherently funny, and they just work so well with like comedy and sort of, I suppose, silly concepts, really.
Yeah, I love the sequence at the end with the helicopter. It's so tight.
Yeah, it's nice to have a big climactic sequence.
Yeah,
I love that, the whole ending with the like when he just sort of like guns them all down. That's really good.
Shall we continue on to the next film?
Yeah,
sure.
I suppose I'll go now. I decided to pick Lego James Bond 007 Encounters by AKPStudios because I know you're familiar with Alex. I think he has a credit in the Batman film.
Yeah, he Alex is someone I just learned about recently. Like I'd seen his name around before. Like he's been watching my stuff for a while, but I just kind of got introduced to him through my live streams because he was on my live streams talking, and I checked out his channel, and I saw this video, and I was like, well, I think the first one I saw was I think the one shot video with 007.
Yeah, that was the recent one.
Yeah, and then I saw this one as well right after that, and I was just so impressed. Like, how did I miss this guy? Kind of moment. Because yeah, he's very, very good.
Yeah, I think that the one shot one was successful. And I think a lot of people are familiar with it, but not as many are familiar with this one now at this stage. and it's also really good. It's well worth going back to.
Yeah, because not only is he good at like animating, but he's also good at like sets and visual effects and like sound design. So he's kind of checking a lot of boxes here. A lot of brick filmers, when they first start out, they only focus on like, they're only good at like one thing, like it might be the animation or the lighting or something, but like it seems like he's just got a really like balanced mentality, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, you can certainly tell he puts a lot of effort into each aspect individually.
I think that there can be a bit of a problem with a lot of animators that there are a lot that are very good at special effects, but animation kind of doesn't sort of live up to it, and sometimes I think it can be the opposite way around as well. With this, it feels like both boxes are checked sort of equally, and I think it's some really nicely animated. It's really nicely animated, but also the special effects are really good as well. I think, in particular, I really like the bullet holes in the bricks. That came out really, really well.
I really like the camera move at the end, too, where it kind of pans up to a bird's eye view or a top-down shot. It's really smooth, and just I don't know exactly how he did that, but that looks really good. I told Alex about how I do my blood splatters recently, and he was like, I think I kind of rocked his world a little bit, because I told him like you should just take like red paint and like dip your like air canister, your like compressed air like duster thing, like in the red paint, like the tip of the little like nozzle, and then you can just spray your set with like red paint, like a burst.
That's a really good idea.
And
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it creates a perfect like blood splatter effect. I mean, it ruins the set obviously, but yeah, it's a really good technique I've been doing for a minute here. And I think it would have saved him a lot of time in post work. I mean, he tracked on these blood hits really well. Like it doesn't, obviously it's digital, but it's tracked on to a point to where it looks really good. But yeah, I think that would have saved him a lot of editing.
The set design is certainly a standout element, and
yeah,
I suppose everything goes for this one as well as the one shot film. But two things that always stand to me are patterned floors and stained glass.
Yeah, that's something you can tell he did a lot of like cleanup, like there's probably a lot of tack used for when you can see the feet on the floor and him running and stuff, because it is a flat floor like Nazi Zombies. And man, there's so much cleanup that I did for Nazi Zombies and for the new Batman video too. Like when Batman is walking, like that shot I was talking about earlier that Zach did where Batman's walking down the street. Literally every single frame of that shot had tack visible under Batman's feet. And I had to go in frame by frame and paint it out painstakingly. It took me a long, long time. But the results are really worth it because it's like, damn, this Lego's really just walking on this like flat surface. There's no studs whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's great to be the animator who doesn't have to worry about doing the cleanup later.
Oh yeah, Zach didn't do me any favors there. He it's fine, He was focused on the animation, and the animation turned out perfect. But if I was animating it, I definitely would have been like, okay, how can I like not have tack in this frame, But like he didn't have to worry about that. That was my job, and honestly, it wasn't too bad because it was a lot of work. But I kind of spread it out over a few months. Like I kind of just did like maybe, 10 frames a week or something, So it didn't seem like that big of a job. But yeah, I could be wrong, but I think it was like 175 frame shot or something like that. So, or
and was that at 15 frames per second?
15 frames a second, yeah. So I'm not exactly sure. It might have been more or less, but it was a lot of frames, and it was a lot of painting out tack. And I'm sure that's what Alex had to do here for this video. Is just like, yeah, something that bugs me in Lego videos is if like, and Aubrey Studios does this a lot, or he used to when he was making videos, is like you'll see the tack, and it just grosses me out. It's so disgusting to see that tack. It's like get either figure out how not to shoot that, or digitally remove it. Because if I see that tack, I'm you're losing points big time.
I feel like some people think it's funny to see it. Yeah, it always distracts me.
Yeah, it's really gross.
It's funny how it's kind of like you can have some. I mean, I see some really polished films used, and they use the tack, and it's almost as if it's just like they just sort of ignore it, and it's funny like when it's something which looks really nice. It's a really like beautifully animated film, and then you have the sticky tack there, and it's very visible. And
it's the worst. Yeah, it ruins it will ruin your video. Yeah, because especially if it's a really well done film, and then otherwise, and then it has the tack. You're like, what are you doing, man? We're not all just pretending that tack doesn't exist. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth going in and painting out. That's something you should definitely like learn if you're doing this kind of work. You're gonna need to learn how to paint stuff out at some point anyway. The paint tool in After Effects. Learn how to use it and get comfortable with it, because at some point or another you're gonna have to paint out a rig or a piece of tack or something. Yeah, this video is dope. I'm just kind of scrubbing through it, and I like how he brings in like natural light from the windows. It's kind of like shining through these big glass windows that are kind of Lego bricks. And yeah, he's just got like a lot of cool techniques here that I really like.
It's a nice kind of like combination of different things, I think, within the film. It's like lots of practical stuff, lots of special effects, and it's really nice set design, and overall it's just really nice and polished.
He does like the whole like gun reload, which you don't see a lot in Brickfilms. That's good.
One of the things I'm still looking at it. I mean, I already mentioned it before, but I really love the bullet holes in the like on the bricks. That looks really cool.
Yeah, he did a good job with that. Yeah, another thing, probably would have saved him a lot of time and effort if he had just drilled into his bricks. But to each his own.
I think Keshen does that.
Yeah. Keshen was the first person I really noticed who started doing that, and I do that now. And it does ruin your brick, but you can't really beat the look of it because it's so practical. It's so real.
For sure.
But yeah, as far as effects go, yeah, Alex did a really good job. Yeah, I actually hired Alex Pearson to do a majority of the mouth animation on my new Batman video. I had just finished up animating the whole thing, and I wanted to get it out as soon as possible. And I figured Alex could help me out. I wanted to work with him, and because I had recently met him, like he was passing through St. Louis, and he stopped by and came over to my apartment, and we hung out for a bit. And he's just a really cool guy, really talented individual, and I wanted to work with him, and I knew he'd do a good job, so I hired him, and it took him about a week or two, but he did all the mouth animation for the new video, and he did a really good job. It's pretty much indistinguishable from like what I would have done.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that you weren't doing it all.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I used to kind of do it as I went, but like sometimes you want to change a line or you want to rearrange like the position of a line. So it kind of made more sense just to wait till the end to do it. But then at the end you have all this like kind of menial, boring work to do. So it was cool to have him do it and not have to worry about it, and I could focus on just finishing up all the effects and color correction and sound design and everything. If he hadn't done it, then I feel like I would have just been so burnt out on it, and I feel like it would have taken a few more weeks to get the video out, and I wanted to get it out like on its like 2-year anniversary, which I accomplished.
Yeah,
like the 2-year anniversary from the last upload, which is ridiculous. So I didn't want to go over 2 years.
Yeah, you can just about say that you didn't go over 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really cool that he helped me accomplish that, and I think I'm probably going to employ him in the future to do it too, because I just it's not great. It's not work I really enjoy. It's something that I think I can pass off to other people. Oh, Keshen also helped me a little bit with he did Batman's mouth animation when he's in the bat plane.
Nice.
Yeah, so he just offered to do it. Like he was just like, yeah, man, I want to help you out. Like I'm not gonna charge you. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I'm not gonna say no to that.
So, do you want to talk about your own pick now?
Yeah, sure. So this is a video that I was really inspired by back in the day. It's called the Lego Fight 3, and it's pretty crazy. I think it's just kind of like, it's just one big action scene, and looking at it now, it's definitely like pretty old and choppy and jittery and stuff, and like poor quality webcam, and there's like a lot of like lighting shifts, and obviously it's not like some kind of first rate production, but the actual like passion and like energy behind the video is just really inspiring, like to this day. Like the sheer intensity of it, the way it syncs up with the music, really excellent music choice, the Burly Brawl from The Matrix, and the way it all syncs together is just so powerful. There's something about it that's so kinetic and so awe-inspiring. I love the length too. Like it just goes on forever, and that's something that's really. If it had just been 2 minutes, it would have just been like whatever. But the fact that it just continues and just keeps going and going and going, just really makes me like just really gets me excited, and that's something I kind of wanted to replicate with Nazi Zombies.
Yeah, Nazi Zombies especially.
Yeah, because I like Nazi Zombies. It could have just been that first wave of zombies where he kills them all and he looks around, and that could have been the video. But then the tank comes, and he gets shot into this building, and all these zombies come off with guns, and they start invading this house he's in, and he has to take them down. And then that could have been the video, but then it's like the Red Skull's there, and then it's like, oh no, he's gonna have to fight the Red Skull, and then the Red Skull gets killed, and then it's Bucky, and he has to fight Bucky, and then more zombies come as they're fighting, and they have to fight the zombies off as they're fighting each other. And so you're kind of just ramping up the intensity, and you're like, holy shit, like how long is this gonna go? Because theoretically it could kind of just go on forever.
Yeah. Or else it could have been like released as like a bunch of 1 minute videos that would have all been really good.
Yeah.
The fact that it just keeps going, yeah.
It's just kind of like that awe-inspiring, and that's what's gonna get you the views. That's what's gonna get you like the attention is because like you'd have to be a crazy idiot not to share it. Like it's so crazy that like everyone's going to want to show their friends. Like everyone's going to say, hey, check this out. Like check out how crazy this is. So you got to get to that point to where people are just like really like awe-inspired. And I think this video does that. At least it did it for me when I was younger.
For sure. I mean, I was really excited when I learned that this was your pick, because I remember this one really well in 2007. I watched this all the time. And
I think Sean's calling me.
Oh,
no.
Nice.
Hey Sean, what's up, bro?
Hey, I just finished my lunch, so I'm ready to record if you guys are recording or whatever.
All right, cool. I'll have them call you and get you on the chat.
I'll just resend the link actually.
All right, so he's gonna resend the link.
All right,
cool.
I didn't actually explain this to the viewers, but I did actually talk to Sean Willets about possibly being on the podcast with us just briefly, and so we sort of agreed to kind of like all join together.
Sweet. Yeah, I want to talk to Sean. Sorry to cut you off, dude. What were you saying about the video?
I was saying I watched this all the time back then when it was new, and I always had the impression that everyone knew this film, but going back to it now, to watch it for this, it only has 80,000 views. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. I guess I thought it was big too, but I guess it wasn't. I know he uploaded like a higher quality version of it. Maybe that got more views.
But I certainly remember at the time the way the camera moves in this, and the way that the impacts are so impactful.
I know, right?
The camera shakes on each impact, and like it seems to like pause at the tiniest bit each time. Everything just was so much more visceral than the other fights you'd see in Brickfilms in 2007. I mean, it's crazy for the time period.
Yeah, I kind of just want to like go frame by frame and figure out like what the hell he's doing, because there's just like. Oh, hey, Sean.
Hello.
It's just like, don't even say hi.
We're too busy talking about Brickfilms. Do you remember the Lego Fight 3 from 2007?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool film, right?
Who did that?
A guy called Luke Rockswold. As far as I can remember, he wasn't really heavily involved with the community or anything, or around for that long.
The Lego Fight 3.
I'll link it to you, Sean. I just sent the link.
If I Google that, if I YouTube that, I'll never be able to find it.
No,
I know, for
the
longest time I like forgot like what it was called, and I just couldn't find it for like years. And then like I found it again recently, and I was like, yes.
You would have to like really go like looking for that.
I'm pretty sure you'll know it though when you see it.
Yeah, when you see it.
You're from the right time period. But I scrolled down to the comments of this because I was curious to see if I'd commented on it years ago. And there's actually a comment from you, Forrest, that says something along the lines of, "Can you give me tips on stop motion?" I thought that was funny.
Oh, wow, yeah, I see it right here. 11 years ago. That's so funny. He never gave me any tips.
Just imagine where you would be right now if he.
I know, right? Could have saved me a lot of trouble.
8 years ago. How come Forrestfire101 can't make fight scenes like this?
Oh my god.
Literally. If only.
In due time. Just wait.
Yeah, I think we got to this level. There's still some sort of magic here that I don't know if we've quite attained.
Yeah, no, you know what? This is so funny that you guys brought this one up because I have been on an intense Matrix kick for the last couple days, and last week or whatever, and probably 2 weeks. And this is heavily inspired by the Matrix because of the music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there were so many Matrix fight scenes around then.
Yeah, but this is the one that did it the best.
Yeah, for sure.
For a long time.
Actually, come to think of it, I mean, being in 2007, I suppose it was almost quite late to the game, actually, because a lot of the Matrix stuff was obviously early 2000s, the Matrix stuff.
There was loads of that in the early 2000s, but then when YouTube was new, it kind of kicked it off again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love when all the extra dudes show up.
Dude, I love the part where the head hits the ground,
What minute, second mark is that?
It's it hits the ground around, hold on. Oh, I almost had it. 4 something. Hold on, wait. Oh, yeah, around 440. 440.
Nice. Okay, let me check that out.
The, one of the things I really like about this sort of film, and I think it's sort of the same with Nazi zombies as well, is that it's kind of there are a lot of brick films with really great action sequences, but they're always 2 minutes long. They're always quite short, and I always kind of feel I want to, when there's something that's really fantastically animated, I just want it to keep going, and I think things like this really kind of I really like, because it does just go on and on, you know?
Yeah, I also love how the camera is such a character in this video. It spins all around, like I said, obviously the set is terrible. And the
There's
lighting
basically
is
no set.
super terrible and super inconsistent. But none of that matters, because the raw sheer intensity of it just stands out. And the ability to move the camera 360 around the characters, and do all these and some of the a lot of the camera moves are super choppy and stuff, but you get the idea enough, and it keeps moving forward with such ferociousness that it just doesn't matter. It kind of adds to the charm of the video.
I think there's something really kind of so energetic with this film, and it kind of it's funny because in terms of animation, it's probably not the best animated sort of action scene, and it's also I said, the set is just sort of nearly non-existent, but there's so much energy in the way it's framed and the way it's shot. It just kind of doesn't matter, I think.
Yeah, and the music too, how it's all queued up in sync with the track. Yeah,
I do strongly believe that kind of 50% of what makes a great action scene is the way it's shot, and it's kind of, I think if you manage to shoot an action scene well enough, the animation doesn't necessarily matter that much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it just has a special something.
It does. I was always trying to figure out how he got the hits to hit so hard. Back then, I just couldn't match that if I was trying to do a fight scene. That and Grace, I'd always look at and just think, I'll never be able to animate close to this.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, if I may, I must say it's I mean, this is a great fight, but it wouldn't exist without the Matrix Reloaded. Because it's using the music, and the music is 6 minutes long. Because I mean, the whole fight is in the movie is 6 minutes long.
Right.
And so it's going off of that. It does it really well, and you're right about the hits. It's the The sound design is great too. Just like getting the hit really hard. It's really satisfying. It's like even more so like than in the Matrix, because like in the Matrix, like he's hitting them, but it's more like kung fu hitting. It's not really like bam. It's more like just like pop 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 pop.
Yeah, right.
They are like pummeling each other, so it's a credit to that.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I have to give Matrix credit in a way, because like it's definitely what inspired it, and it's not like a completely original fight scene. And
Totally, yeah.
It's also like executed really well. So you gotta
and the Matrix also like has that one shot where Neo's spinning around and it's so bad. The CGI.
Oh god, yeah, the CGI, the balloon
it's so
people.
bad, but it's almost perfect. That scene's almost perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the one where he's like spinning around like a fairy or whatever.
Now, yeah, right. Yeah, that was terrible. Imagine if this guy like got back in the game now and he did the same animation but with like better quality, better set, better lighting. Like, holy shit, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I feel like the animation itself, I still like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
Really good, actually.
Yeah, but like, imagine if like Sean and I went over this guy's house and we just set up the sets and the shots for him, and he just let him animate. Like, I like his sound design too. Like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing over and over again, but it works. Like, it feels powerful. Yeah. He's just. I wonder what he's up to now. Like, I saw on his channel he did some like live action stuff too. Like, but that was all a long time ago. So. Well, actually, there's some stuff here that's like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Mostly live action. I want to check some of his stuff out. I might reach out to this guy, see if we can get him back into the fold.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because this is so inspirational for me.
Yeah, in my mind as well, it was a classic of the time.
Even though he never gave me tips on how to do stop motion. I don't hold it against him.
Yeah, you should just comment again now and just say, well, where are the tips?
Yeah.
Right. No, that's totally what I get though, because like I get so many comments like that I just never respond to. So, I get it. You can't respond to them all.
How do you guys think he did that slow motion effect with the frames like blending?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because like I have a plugin that can do that sort of thing, but it's like a relatively like recent new plugin. So like I don't know what he was using back then.
To me, it looks as though it's kind of almost a similar effect to when you blend two images together and you just kind of like, you make it look like a kind of moving...
Like a crossfade?
Yeah. Like, do you know those like really creepy videos of celebrities through the years thing?
Yeah. Like morphing?
Yeah. Like, those are far too creepy, those videos.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm just like, what program you used that had a simple enough plugin... Because he's obviously not doing this manually. Like there's definitely like, or he could have like figured out a way to do it and then just did it, repeated the process.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a plugin, like to me. Like that's why I'm like, like I don't know.
Somebody would probably be able to recognize how the credits look as being from a certain program.
Right. Yeah.
Like at first, I just assumed that it was like animated somehow, but looking at it again, I am sort of, I am intrigued to see how that effect was pulled off, because I don't think it is animated.
I still don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I need to hire this guy. I need to get more content on the channel. Who would you like to see do a fight scene in this style? Like, what two characters? Like,
oh, I mean, since I'm on a Matrix kick, I want to see, Neo versus the agent again. Like why not? Just do it again. Like, but in like high quality, because we haven't really seen a Matrix kind of video in high quality. But it's old. It should be something new.
Would the Matrix get views though? I'm trying to make a viral video here.
They're doing one, so maybe I
don't know. I feel like the Matrix is a little bit played out at this point. Like it's obviously like one of the greatest movies ever made, but like for like the youth today, like what's hot, you know?
Oh yeah, no, nobody remembers. Like it's all us, you know.
Well, I mean, do you know what they say about the kind of like 30-year cycle of nostalgia? It's coming close to the 2020s, so 90s stuff is going to become more popular. So resurgence, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling that already. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the Wachowskis are making another Matrix movie.
Yeah, they're making it.
Really? Like, well, like a reboot or?
Yeah, it's some sort of continuation or reboot with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, it'll probably be a continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. I pretty much like everything they do.
Well, even Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, Jupiter Ascending, that was pretty dope. Not as dope as their other stuff, but pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
enjoyable.
I mean, I think all this stuff is visually really pleasing.
Yeah. I really liked that one crazy movie they did. What was that movie called? Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That was crazy.
I really like that movie a lot.
Like what? Like long too. It's nice.
It's a crazy time movie. Like what is going on? Like it's like an epic. You have to admit, and also Jupiter Ascending is pretty is like also an epic. But I have to say there was one part I was in a theater and I was watching it, and an action scene ended, and I started laughing, and then the whole theater started laughing.
I think Eddie Redmayne's performance is really hilariously bad.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. How he whispers everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then he screams every so often. Yeah, that's great. You know, another movie I thought was gonna be bad, like that was actually pretty good, was Mortal Engines. I saw that recently, and I was like, damn, this is pretty crazy. Like, it's pretty nuts.
Huh.
I think you must be the only person in the world who's seen that now.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, like it didn't do well at all, and I mean, I kind of get why. Like, it didn't have like any like star power, any like just looked like a CGI kind of mess, like in the trailers. Like who cares, you know? But like it's actually pretty cool. I don't know. I liked it.
I kind of like box office bombs. It's a funny thing to say, but like there are a few like decent ones. You know, like ones that really did terribly because you know, I like, you know, they are like massive blockbusters, so you know there are some decent ones out there.
Well, what's another good example of that?
Well, it's not really liked at all as a film, but I actually really enjoy the 2013 Lone Ranger film.
Yeah, right.
You did as well, yeah. I mean, like, I absolutely love the ending. It's so good.
Yeah, the ending's crazy. Like, it had like the original theme going, and it went on forever, and they're jumping between trains, and the trains are going all crazy. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that too.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I like that.
Yeah, I really like Armie Hammer too. Armie Hammer was a good choice for that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I always think that Gore Verbinski kind of isn't as appreciated as much as he should be.
What else has Gore done?
Well, he's done like the Pirates of the Caribbean films. I mean, I'm not. You know, I have some problems with the 2 and 3, but like the first one, I mean, I love. But
oh yeah, the first one's solid. Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I think there is a lot of fun within like 2 and 3, like some sequences, and I think I actually really love the ending of Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Is 2 the one with Davy Jones?
Yeah.
That's a crazy effect.
That's a great movie too. I really like
that's just a crazy like monster effect, like his like face all squid like and everything.
Well, the CGI awesome. is aged really well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it still looks, you know, as good as it did then. You know,
it was integrated really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a masterclass.
Another Gore Verbinski film I like that I think no one talks about is Mouse Hunt from the 90s. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Wow, he did that?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's like one of my like childhood favorites. That one.
That's also a childhood favorite for sure. Love that movie.
It's kind of like I just love how much it's kind of like a homage to like sort of Laurel and Hardy kind of.
Yeah, have you seen that first?
Is that the one where like the two like con artists like start a hotel or something?
Yeah, it's
sort
like
of. Yeah.
I can remember some pretty cool sequences in that where it's like behind the wall and they're trying to attack the mouse, and the stuff is coming in and breaking the wall.
It's kind of the funniest. It has the funniest sequences, like, and most horrifying. Like the one like you really care about this mouse.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, you're like, oh my god, I do not want anything to happen to this mouse. And it's just a mouse. Like, it's just like a little guy, you know? Like, there's plenty of them, you know? But, like, in this movie, it's like, no, this mouse is awesome. I love it. I love that movie.
Yeah, I have very, very, like, vague memories of this film.
Yeah, same
They're
here.
very vague. Do you think it's worth a rewatch?
Yeah, I think it is. It's kind of funny though. Like, I mean, there's a lot of films, like from my childhood, because I grew up watching a lot of films from the '90s. Huge nostalgia for a lot of films from then, and it's kind of funny that a lot of films, because when you're a kid, you like stupid films, you know. But it kind of makes me happy that a lot of the films that I watched over and over again as a kid, I've looked back and thought, actually, these are actually really good films, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that I really love. I absolutely love, Matilda.
Oh, yeah. I love Matilda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that was good. You really wanted that principal chick to get her comeuppance.
Yeah.
You really just love to hate her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Yeah,
Matilda's
it's been
kind of
way
like
too long.
the Stranger Things of the 90s.
Oh, Stranger Things?
Doesn't Matilda have like some kind of powers or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like 11 a little bit.
Yeah, she kind
I
of
guess she is a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I guess she is sort of similar, yeah.
Have you guys seen the new season of Stranger Things yet?
I've seen the first episode. I haven't watched the rest of it yet.
Seen
What do
the
you-
first 2 episodes.
What do you think of it, Sean?
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet, but it's not great.
I don't like it yet. I'm sure I'll like it eventually, but
Can
yeah,
I-
it's like, I don't know, I just don't like the writing so far. But
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's not as funny because they're like, they've hit puberty now and they're kind of just like becoming teenagers. It's not, you kind of lose the sort of Goonies kind of feel.
I think they just don't
Yeah.
know right for that age or something.
I think the actors are all good. Like all the actors are good, and like the production is like top notch. And
Oh yeah.
I think it's like, I don't know. I haven't finished it yet, so I don't want to be too harsh on it. But like, it's just kind of rubbing me the wrong way.
Most of the characters are generally quite likable, and I think in the first couple of seasons, the teenage characters, they could be really dislikable, but they are I kind of like them as characters. But I kind of feel like you've got some good teenage characters, but like I don't want the kids to be teenagers, but they are now, you know.
I think
Yeah,
it's-
they got to
it's
grow up eventually.
Yeah,
hard to write that age demographic convincingly.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a challenge. But yeah, I'm gonna finish it. It's definitely something to watch. It's got a really cool monster. I really like the new monster.
Yeah.
It's really crazy cool.
Well, the third episode like really intrigued me. I only watched the first like opening bit, and I really liked that part. It's funny, like the 2 episodes I saw were like, it was okay.
I love that Billy guy too.
Yeah.
He's so freaking hot.
It's like you look at that guy and you're like, I want to be that. Like that's what I want to be.
I just want him to like hang out with me.
Yeah, like and I want to hang out with him too. Like, you know, it's like I want to. It's just like, why can't I just be that dude?
He's such a hunk, dude. It looks like he's wearing like mascara, but he's not.
Yeah,
That's just how his eyes look.
he might be though.
Maybe he is. I don't know. He looks great. He's such a jerk, though. You really want to see him get his comeuppance.
He's such a jerk. But at the same time, it's like it's so funny. Like that's how Steve started out. Like, oh man, I hate this guy, and then you're like, oh, I kind of like.
I kind of always like Steve. Like, I'm not a fan of the Byers kid.
Oh.
Well, the guy who's like, you remember he got like caught with like coke at LAX or whatever.
Oh wow, the one with the camera.
Yeah, the creepy weirdo who took pictures of her while she was like getting undressed.
He is actually a creep.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
that's kind of
kinda
the
like-
strange thing is that he's kind of like written as if he is kind of like the underdog character to root for, but he is a creep. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they like kind of like normalize that behavior, like the writers, like that he should not have like gotten the girl in the end. Like that's not behavior that she should condone.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
I kind of feel like
strange.
the whole like the way that they treated the her splitting up with the other guy was kind of just, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I think they were quite good together, and
Yeah.
the whole like splitting up thing was a bit contrived, I thought.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the first episode, they like of the second season, they like break up or something, and it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, that was really quick. Like you feel like that would happen with her and the virus kid.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like there should be some situations where in things like this where the guy kind of just learns to sort of forget it and they just be friends. I think that should have been kind of like a good kind of thing they could have done with his character. Like, because being a bit of a creep, like, it would have been better if he didn't get the girl, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Man, you know what I want to get is that Lego Stranger Things set.
Oh yeah, that's really
That's a cool set.
It's such a cool set. It's kind of expensive though. It's like it's not really like I don't think I'd really use it for anything, But like
It's a real display set, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's super cool though.
It's like a display set that'll just eventually break.
Yeah, it'll fall over.
Yeah, it looks a little bit top heavy for sure.
Well, I mean, it must be solid. Like, I'm pretty confident in Lego's ability to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
It's such
seen
a tight set.
videos with it, and I think it seems pretty solid. And congratulations to bringing this back to Lego.
Oh yeah, I thought I'd steer it back to the Lego like before Sean leaves. Sean's got to get going back to work at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys caught me in the middle of my work day. It's nice. Crazy.
How's work going, Sean?
Pretty good. I finished a shot before lunch, so I'm happy.
Sweet. You're working on Can I say the name of the show or no?
Yeah, Crossing Swords
Okay, yeah.
for Hulu.
Crossing Swords.
In 2020.
Coming soon to a streaming platform near you.
Yeah, it's all right. It's gonna be great. You'll like it.
That's good to hear that it's on Hulu, because when you were working on Supermansion on Crackle, I was just thinking, what on earth is Crackle?
Yeah.
That's the thing in the Lego movie, isn't it?
Yeah, the Craggle. Yeah. Yeah, no, Supermansion's actually like a really good show, but yeah, no one knows about it at all.
It's a shame, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's actually hilarious. I really like it.
It's really weird that Adult Swim didn't pick it up. Like,
Yeah, and also like it's not like available on like Blu-ray. It's only available on like DVD, and I never see it like in Target or anywhere. So it just basically doesn't exist.
yeah, it's like on Amazon. It's like out of stock.
But yeah, Sean and I put in some effort on that show. Sean especially.
Yeah, I've been doing it forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole show, like pretty much like since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that show. I would hope it would get a season 4 on it.
Well, hopefully Crossing Swords has a little bit more notoriety.
Yeah, I mean it'll probably get more views from like just being on Hulu. I'm pretty sure it'll get pretty popular. But yeah, no, I'd love it if Superman got another season. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I love all the characters.
Oh yeah, they're so much fun. Like they're really high quality, puppets, and it's just a dream to animate them. They're great. It's like movie quality puppets. Really,
Yeah.
really good. All right, well I gotta run. I gotta get. But it was great. Guys. I really.
Thanks for stopping by, Sean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
thank you.
I really want to have another cast with you guys soon. Like it'd be great just to chat about another brick film.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Except Lego Fight 3 would probably be what I was going to talk about.
Oh, really?
I'm sure we can find some other classic brick films.
Who picked that one?
Oh, that was me.
That was you? Oh, great. Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure.
What other
Yeah.
ones did you pick? The other, because you guys picked 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Hold the Lines Operation Cobra?
Oh, man, I don't know.
It's a recent one, so possibly not.
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute French film from 2017. That's really solid.
It's kind of like a James Bond like action Lego video.
Sweet.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, the opening sequence, the title sequence is definitely inspired by that. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and just like the way he like is a spy and sneaks around and shoots people with a silencer and all that.
Yeah.
Gotta head out, guys. But
All right. Love you, Sean.
All right. See you.
Bye.
see you guys.
Have a good day at work. Sean's so sweet to come in on his lunch break.
Yeah.
Take a break from animating to talk about animating.
What a pro.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there any more to talk about before we?
I mean, we've been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a pretty long one. Glad to be a part of it. Yeah, I think I need to take a lunch break here.
Yeah, it's been eventful.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was just a total blast to reminisce about the past and, you know, the future and everything. Like, it's, yeah, I hope to continue doing brick films, like, pretty much the rest of my life. Like, I don't ever want to stop.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I hope you guys continue as well.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not going to be, I don't imagine I'll be kind of brick filming at the same rate as I am now in, like, 20 years time, but I like the idea of, I don't know, making like one a year, just keep going,
Even if it's something that, you know, you only work on periodically, you know, like getting one shot a month is better than 0 shots, you know, so like maybe it just takes you a really long time, but to be active in some degree is, I think, really inspiring for others too.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of your streams recently, and I can really sense the passion for the medium and the work you're making.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I feel like those streams are so dull, you know, because it's mostly just me, you know, focusing on getting a shot set up or whatever. But yeah, there is some passion there for sure. I'm probably gonna start those back up again at some point soon. I haven't really officially announced this new video I'm working on yet, because I don't want people jumping down my throat about it before it's ready. But like towards the end, I might start streaming it again, because people seem to be enjoying those. Yeah, I'm working on this new Lego Batman video, but it's more of an action video. And then I'm also working on Zombie Universe 3, which we shot about half of it last summer. But we're just starting again to put together shoot dates to finish up the rest of the shooting. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, I'm really excited for people to see this new zombie movie, because you know, it's a live action video and I haven't done one of those in a long time. And it's really like a step up from what I've done in the past. It's very intense, you know, it really moves, and it's got a lot of energy behind it. So I'm in, you know, more special effects and, you know, action. So I'm just excited for people to see it.
Yeah, well, it's great that you're, continuing to do stuff, and, you keep, keeping up with the passion, and because it's, and I think, you spend a long time on a project. You kind of sometimes it can make you feel like, you just want to break, but it's great that you want to keep at it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like even if I, end up working on bigger and bigger projects, I still always want to have my channel and have it be a place where I can post like just really personal stuff. Because like when you work on big projects for like corporations and stuff, inevitably it's not going to be entirely your film. It's going to be the product of a whole lot of people's efforts. But I think having the channel just be a place where I can express my own, self is always going to be really important.
Yeah, it's valuable to yourself and the viewers.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and I've got this like fan base, and like if that many people really want to like see my stuff, I'd just be an asshole if I just like stop now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure having you on.
Yeah, dude, it's been awesome. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.